Yeah. Oh, gracious souls. Yeah.
Let's call this meeting to order. I'm the vice chair, Dr. Guillermo Dudley, and Makana is missing, so I don't know what he's going to show or not, but we'll move ahead with the meeting. Why don't we start with the law to order?
Yeah, well.
Yep.
Baldwin. Dudley.
Here.
Ferrell.
There you go.
Here. Let's, Singleton.
Here.
Sala.
Bill.
Fairland. We do have a quorum at this time, vice chair, with 5 of 9 members present.
Good. Okay, let's start with the city monthly reports. Here's our chair. Should we start with the fire department?
Sit down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the neighborhood board and the public, I'm Captain Otsuka from East Kapolei Fire Station. Here to give the monthly report. So for March 2024, for fires, there was 1 structure fire, 2 wildland and brush fires, 6 nuisance fires. Nuisance fires are fires that include rubbish fires outside a structure or a vehicle. There were no cooking fires and 12 active alarms with no fire. As far as medical emergencies, there was 195. There were no vehicle collisions with pedestrians. There was 13 vehicle crash collisions. No mountain rescues, no ocean rescues, and no hazardous material incidents. Fire safety tips and announcements. Fire safety tip for the month was evacuation planning. Have an emergency preparedness plan ready in case of an environmental emergency, fire, or natural disaster. Move to out of your home and consider the route you'll take if you need to evacuate from your neighborhoods. Due to an emergency, visit fire.home.gov to learn more. Also, they have leave early to avoid caught in fire, smoke, or road congestion, and establish predetermined locations such as a well-prepared neighborhood, a relative's house, a low-risk area, or a shelter or evacuation center. And also take your emergency supply kit containing your family and pets necessary items. That's all we have. Any questions for the fire department?
The chair has been yielded back to myself. Carmine, apologies for being there. Thank you very much for the report. Are there any questions from our board members? Any questions from the community at large? So none, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Awesome. So just to do some housekeeping because we'll come on 2 minutes late and everybody wanted to get going. So will we officially call to order? Yes. Awesome. Thank you very much, Vice Chair. So the meeting is in order. Did we go over the procedures? Okay, it did not. So we'll be on cue for that. So welcome to our Makakilo Hometown Community Forum. My name is Anthony Makakilo, and thank you so much to Dr. Dudley for chairing for the interim. I serve as your board chair, and we are holding a hybrid meeting here at Kapolei conference rooms A and B, and online via events. Further in the if you wish to speak, you may, but please raise your hand in person or virtually. And wait for the presiding officer to call upon you so that we can make sure we are discussing things in a orderly fashion. Make sure to introduce yourself before speaking so that we can get your email and your name on for the record. If I miss any hands, particularly for those online, please reach out to Logan Hutchinson, our legal assistant via chat, so that he can throw an eraser at me so that I can make sure to call on you. Those speaking this evening can have up to 3 minutes to speak on any topic. And those that are giving reports have been granted 10 minutes for this evening for the presentations. All the presentation materials can be found on our cloud drive that you can find the handy link on any agenda of the neighborhood board from today's agenda all the way back for a couple of years. So we're using the same Google Cloud Drive. Now, please remember to keep your electronic devices on silence for those in person, if possible, or at least on silent or vibrate, and in person, online, please make sure you're muted so we don't get your in-person conversation at home. So finally, this is our community forum, and everyone is asked to engage with the spirit of aloha, being free to vigorously debate with each other on any of the topics. Our primary aim here is to work for solutions for our community. Remember to treat each other with respect, and especially when you're passionately advocating, and let's honor each other by keeping to the allotted times for speaking, and collectively get out by the D-time, which is 10 p.m. at the latest. So are there any questions about order of the quorum or procedures for tonight? If hearing none, by virtue of your silence, you all accept that you are going to comply with these things. And if not, we'll ask you and remind you kindly to follow the rules. Okay, now let's continue with our reports, and we'll go now to ask for Honolulu Police Department for your report, please.
Hello, Mr. Chair, board members, members of the community. Corporal Pegler, the Honolulu Police Department District 8 Community Policing Team. I do have your stats for March. In March, we had 32 motor vehicle thefts, 13 in our area, 12 burglaries, 2 in our area, 113 thefts, 50 in our area, 37 unauthorized entries into a motor vehicle, 10 in our area, a total of 455 citations, 7,037 calls for service, and 2,356 in our area. The only other thing that I did want to bring up was some of you may have been made aware that Eva Makai in Eva Beach has banned the use of e-bikes on campus, or being brought on campus. We went out there on Tuesday to do a sign waving campaign, and traffic looked a lot better without the kids speeding and driving all over the place. We are working on a pamphlet to get out to the communities and the schools. We did ask the EVA board 2 weeks ago for their support in sending a letter to the DOE and the Kapolei, Campbell Kapolei complex in an effort to ask them to have the schools join the bandwagon to prohibit these e-bikes and electric scooters from being used on campus or being stored on campus. For those of you that are not aware, it is illegal for anyone under the age of 15 to be riding an e-bike. What we found out from doing our research is the e-bikes are considered the bikes that are electronically powered with pedals. All the others that do not have pedals are considered in the category as a moped. So in that case, you do need a license to ride those. So again, no one under 15 is allowed to ride those. Anyone under 18 is required to wear a helmet. Packing on those things are illegal. There needs to be a designated seat for everyone on the bike. So parents who ride with their kids on the front of their lap on those bikes, that is illegal. So again, we are working on getting a pamphlet out to everyone so that they can post the rules and laws, and we are asking the board to support us in getting the schools and the principals to ban them. What we've realized is that if these kids can't store them on property, then it limits their ability to ride them to school. And we want to remind the parents that it is illegal for them to be riding in them, so they do need to make other concessions to get their kids to school and stuff like that for their safety. Other than that, I'm open for comments, questions, or concerns.
Thank you very much for the report. Are there any questions or comments from the board members? Chair recognizes this board member.
So thank you guys for your time and effort, and all the stats and everything. Regarding the electric bikes and the motor vehicles, should we not focus on the vendors who sell it? I understand there's a need and a want to buy it for our kids and everything else, but if there's some type of awareness to the vendors who selling it, I think that will put a little more pressure, not on you guys or anybody, but just to the vendors who's, whether it's Costco, whether it's Sam's or whoever selling it.
I agree. I wish we could, but so those electric bikes, they can be used on private property. So if someone has a big old lot, they can use them on their own property at their own risk and stuff like that. Again, it's like with anything else, right? Like with alcohol, they're illegal for certain ages and stuff like that. So do we ban everyone from selling them? So it gets a little bit more difficult when you push a store to say that you have to verify that the person they're buying it for is going to be riding it in a legal age. So I think, well, from what we've heard and what we've seen, and I believe they're genuine, is a lot of these parents didn't know that their kids weren't allowed to ride them. Because if you look at some of these e-bikes, especially the first ones that came out with the pedals, they're very small. So they're made for smaller kids or smaller people. So I think it was, again, targeted towards the younger generation without the fact or the thought coming into effect that there is laws. Again, what we realized when we did our research and some searching of the laws is that the bikes that don't have the pedals come under the mopeds, and what we also found out is that there's no licensing process for people to get a license for those to be ridden on the road. So it's not like there's you can get a moped license and you can ride those. It's a different licensing and registration process for those bikes. So that's where I think the city and the state is going to have a little bit of an issue when it comes to those being legalized to be on the road. So as of right now, if someone is stopped for riding those, if they don't have a license, they can be cited for that. But again, going after the vendors, it makes it a little bit more difficult, especially for HPD and the state when, it is allowed to be ridden somewhere on private property. But it's just that people are buying them, using them illegally, just like the golf carts, right? People can buy golf carts and operate the golf carts in certain areas, but they're not, and the people use them in other areas. So thank you, though.
Chair recognizes Vice Chair Dr. Tony Dudley.
Officer Gunn, this last week, I got an email from somebody saying that they were giving away a free piano. And so I sent out a note to all of my vice department students and so forth about that. And another piano teacher called me and said that the person probably isn't fake, and that he's been trying to tell people he would give them a free piano, and then he charges them for delivery, $300 or so. And so I filed a complaint, but I haven't heard anything. When I filed it and pushed the button to send it, a paper came up on the screen that had his name in the place. And I'm just wondering, is that something normal? Or when I push the button, should I have gotten some kind of response from the police department? And I've never heard anything like that. Do you think my complaint, whether it's gotten through or not?
Okay, I'm sorry. You came in a little bit garbled throughout that whole conversation. But if I heard you correctly, so you submitted a report online and you didn't get a response online.
Yes.
Is that what it was? Yeah, you should have gotten some type of response. If you didn't, did you get a report number? Did it at least issue a report number?
No. Nothing.
Okay, and then you filed one because of the email scam or the phone scam, is that what it was?
Piano. The guy said he was leaving piano. And actually, he's not, he's just trying to get people to say that they will take it and then he charges them for delivery. And then
Yeah.
of course, never delivers the piano.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure why you wouldn't have gotten a response from the email. What you can do if you want is you can actually call 911, make a do the non-emergency, and they can actually have someone take your phone call or your report over the phone with our ACS, our alternate call service. And they can actually issue the report and send it over that way. I'm glad you did bring up that scam thing, because there was another one. I got a call actually from a senator that received a call. And he said that someone was calling, pretending to be from the sheriff's office, saying that they missed jury duty and they were going to send the police over to their house to arrest them if they didn't send some type of payment. So again, people are getting desperate. People are trying all kinds of things. And, you know, with these phishing scams, they throw out 1,000 nets and they hope that they catch one or two. So just be careful. You can always hang up on them, try calling the number back to see if it's a legitimate number. Or if you get a call from the courts, you can always call the courts and ask them if this is valid, because the courts won't call you and offer you a way out of jury duty by paying a fine. So.
Any other questions or concerns from board members? Any other questions or concerns from the community at large? Thank you so much for the report, and we definitely recognize the heightened amount of scamming going on, including the circulation for neighborhood boards to actually provide resources and our own accounts, which we've been scammed in the last few months. So I'm glad you have diligent people on that board that didn't actually do it. But we get the sad news that other board members from other neighborhood boards actually probably kindness of their hearts put out $800 in order to actually help the board to this work, and sure expecting reimbursement from the commission, and they're still in losses. $800. So it's going on. Please speak to your component especially. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Now let's go to board of water supply. Are they here with us this evening?
Don't see them on now. They did submit a report.
No problem. If they come back online later, we're involved with the chance. Otherwise, they have submitted the written report, which is on the contract or neighborhood. Next, let's go to Mayor Blangioni and his representative, Deputy Director Keith Suzuka. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Board. Keith Suzuka, Deputy Director for the Department of Land Management. I hope everyone's having a nice evening. I wanted to report that the Mayor has been conducting his town halls throughout the island. We have finished 5 so far. The cabinet members and the Mayor have 11 scheduled. We finished 5 so far. Tomorrow night is going to take place in Manoa. Actually, the very first town hall was in Kapolei, Makakilo this year. And that's in the way of announcements. With respect to the Skyline ridership, in March, the total ridership for the month was 94,867. It's pretty much been hovering somewhere about 90 to 95,000 over the last few months. With respect to homework, various questions and requests that were made in the last at the last neighborhood board. The first one was directed to the Department of Enterprise Services, and it related to the zoo. And the question was requesting information on the board services available to guests who may be crippled or need a motorized vehicle. And the answer is that the Honolulu Zoo has wheelchairs available to rent from the gift shop. As the zoo does not provide mobility scooters, guests who require one are encouraged to rent their own and to ask the company to drop off the scooter at the zoo or at a location of their choice. With respect to the second request, it was a request directed to ENV, and the request was the board requested an ENV representative to be available to present to the board and for questions at their meetings on April 24th, tonight, or May 22nd. The topic mentioned was in regard to H Power facility, the details of the contract with Covanta Honolulu, resource recovery venture, and the process of ash to construction materials. And EMV has responded by saying that EMV has reached out to Makana Paris, Chairman Paris, and Logan Hutchinson via email on April 22nd in regards to scheduling the requested meeting. EMV looks forward to a response to confirm a presentation date. And the last item was directed to the Department of DTS, Transportation Services. And the request was the board requested a DTS representative to be available to present to the board and for questions at their meeting on April 24th or May 22nd. The topics mentioned included, but were not limited to, the Makakilo extension, traffic mitigation in the area, speed education for the community, installation process for speed humps/tables, availability of radar trailers, how the community can best provide feedback, and DTS providing quarterly updates to the neighborhood board. And DTS's response is that they have reached out to Chair Paris and can be available on May 22nd or a future date. And that's all I have to report. I'd be happy to see if I could answer or get you answers to any concerns or questions that you may have for the mayor.
Thank you very much for the report, Deputy Director. Any questions or comments from fellow board members? Questions or comments from the community at large for the mayor?
Excuse me, I do recognize.
Yes, and please come up and introduce yourself.
I'm Veronica Munikata. I sit on a couple of homeowners boards. Two things. One, the Makakilo extension. I was promised this thing. Of course, it was a realtor and verbally, but it was in the process. Now, that was in 1988. I've been living here since 1988. I returned home and it's still not there. Now, I understand that there's a question about money, but they're widening the road on Harrington Highway for the new homes. But we have 3,500 homes in Upper Makakilo. And every time there's a tsunami warning, people flood up the hill. And then they have to turn around and they're stuck. One traffic accident and nobody gets to move. My drive's the same way. But that's been 50 years in the offing. Now, they're finally taking it up. I don't want to wait another few years. I might not be here. Secondly, there's another issue. I'm not sure if it's the state or the city and county, but the YMCA and Camp Erdman and the homes and the business people up at Mokoleia are getting the water turned off. Now, Camp Erdman has summer fun. They have 700 kids, 250 a day, and they're not going to have water. Now, that means they have to find a way to have their summer fun program were relocated. They were only told this morning. Now, I think that's a little bit harsh. I don't know what you can do, but this is going to put a real cramp in summer fun programs for the kids. And they'll shut off the water in July. So I thought I might mention this. I know it's a military problem, but it's also our citizens, our kids. So if you could work on those two, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or concerns from the community for the mayor's office? Please.
Hi, I'm Sheila Rivers. I just wanted to compliment a program that I had no idea existed. It's the 311. Recently, there was a sign that was hanging on the intersection fronting Walmart. And someone had reported it, sent it to me, and I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know who to report it to. And then someone suggested 311 Honolulu. So I downloaded the app and submitted the picture, and I got an immediate response, like right away from city and county. So it works. I just wanted to say thank you. There's a way to report any of these issues pertaining to city and county. So thank you very much for that.
Community member. It's always good to hear, you know, what you say about that.
Thank you very much. I was actually on the way home. I was talking to the deputy director for DIT, which is the department that's in charge of the 311 program. And he was saying how happy he was that people were really starting to use it. And I'll pass on your thoughts and your comments to him. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? Please reports for our city. At this time, thank you very much, Deputy Director. Really appreciate the fact that you were able to help us coordinate with DTS and ENV. So aside from the chair for the community to be, ENV is on the agenda for next month to come and give us a report on what's going on with each power actually on the contract, particularly among previous conversations that we've had with outside experts regarding the concerns with toxins from each power and potentially toxins in the recycling of the material ash in our construction material for grown-up projects, including roadways. And the second was DTS. I did respond to them to be able to come and give us an update on their perspective. He's not here to see whether or not they're trying to coordinate with what's really for tech manager on the city side to match up with DLNI on the state side, because they're both trying to connect. So whether or not in your state project, cities quickly, or the city project, state quickly, that's where we want to try and continue to bring the community's concerns for Makakilo Drive extension. But I would be remiss not to say that Councilmember Andrew Tupola has been on point trying to help us to get the Makakilo Drive extension back on the appropriate listing with the under envelope with the state, so that we need to actually put that on the state list. So that is procedural stuff that we still have not gotten done. But we do know that it needs to get done. So community, please continue to raise your concerns so that we can get it done hopefully within Andy's lifetime. Okay, any other questions, concerns for the mayor's office? Seeing none, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Deputy Director, and we will now welcome council member.
Hello, board members. Thank you so much for being here. And just to go off of what Chair just covered. So Logan, I emailed you the 2-pager that I handed out at the Mayor's Kapolei Town Hall. And it is a little timeline. So instead of my long PowerPoint from the Town Hall, it's just 2 pages of what has been done or what the history of the Makakilo Drive extension. And as I said in previous meetings, I am pursuing the emergency access route within this year, meaning that that doesn't have to wait. Because an emergency access route through Puerto onto the Grace Pacific property can be done like that. So our lawyers have already talked. I took DTS and I'm talking with DEM to talk with the lawyers at Grace Pacific to allow us access on there from the freeway up to the gate where Puerto Money is. It's literally like 2 minutes. So it's something that could be done immediately because obviously for our harm and for our safety, we have to have something as an access route now and not in decades, right? So I'll keep the board updated on that. Today I did a tour for Opili to all of the edges of it because there's a lot of different things going on. One of the issues they brought up was that we do not have a tax rate for mixed use. So as you guys know, on the bottom of those buildings, there's some commercial, but then on the top you can live. Unfortunately, in the city, we don't have a tax rate. So most of them have commercial on the bottom. They're being taxed a commercial rate, which is like 5 times as much as a residential rate. It's very difficult for people to pay that kind of tax. So I just heard about it today. I'll be working on that. They're also concerned about police enforcement in the area since none of those roads have been deeded over to the city. But any road, no matter if private, can still have police enforcement. And I can forward you guys all of the HRS that allows for police to do it. The only thing we can't do on a private road is tow an abandoned car. But we can do all the other enforcements. And if there are people conveying the wrong thing, we can just go back and clarify the law with them. We just had a sign reading with Jonah from Kapolei High School, with Matt and with Ho'opili to make the community aware because there's kind of a thoroughfare right there by the soccer field. It's like, you know, there's a lot of kids still in that area and it's definitely a place where we don't want people driving fast. For parks, in the city budget, which I'm going to come up on second reading, I did put in Kapolei Skate Park as well as a bathroom budget that me and you talked about, Mikiala. And if you could still respond to us with the date that you're available, the mayor still wants to come out and meet with you and Dietrich so that we can kind of talk through the whole thing and not parts of the things there. And then also something of note, which, you know, it's unfortunate that I had to figure it out in the budget, but we have asked Director Thiel and Director of Parks why the West Side Parks look the way they do. And interestingly, she actually drew up a chart and we do have the least amount of staff members of all the island for our district. We actually have no second shift. So after 2 o'clock and in through the night, we have no workers at any of our parks, whereas other areas do have second shift and they have overnight shift. So she's putting that into the budget. We also have no trash compactors, which is why there's so much trash. I have hauled trash from the park myself because it's been overloaded. So, you know, Director Thielen really did a side-by-side comparison with our parks district and others, and we're severely underserved, severely. So like, even though we add, I think 9 to 11 positions for staff, we're still the lowest amount of staff workers on all the island. So it's something that we have to actively fight for because I think the parity is what we can see visually. And now that I know that it was a staffing issue, we don't have second shift, we don't have a trash compactor. So those are things we're fighting for in the budget right now, and I believe those will go through. I want to thank Uncle Mel. He's in the room back here because Uncle Mel has been relentless in advocating for speed humps in front of Makakilo Elementary. And thank you to DOT, not DTF, DOT with the speed humps. So thank you, Uncle Mel, for your advocacy. I appreciate it. We've been waiting a long time. The principal is very happy about it, and the families are very happy to know that there's this slowing down. Lastly, my deputy regarding green rooms is on its second reading, and that will be on May 1st. So thank you to everyone who has testified thus far. I will be doing a joint town hall with Rep. Garcia and with Senator Gabbard at Honolulu Middle on May 28th. So that's also in your packet. I am going to have Homeland Security there, Attorney General's, HPD. So this is a high-level crime meeting. We are going to go through, like, you know, crime in our district, but I'm also going to talk about missing children cases, trafficking cases in our district, and then as well how that relates to Homeland Security, the Attorney General's office, and HPD. So it will be a panel of people coming. So I think it would be of interest to people who are particularly concerned about crime, because I will have all the right players in the room. So May 28th, Honolulu Middle, and I'm open for questions.
Also look for the continued seeing the bank bar community. Are there any questions or comments from the board members? Any questions, comments, or concerns from the community at large? Keep on keeping on.
That's great, mahalo.
Good job, awesome, thank you. And thank you to Kapolei in your office for reaching out to us to make sure that we have all of our letters and to support the remote package. So we were able to get our letters in support, and we were very particular letters of support for that particular issue that's happening in our communities. Okay. Now let's go to Frank with Amber. Are you available? Are you online? Uncle Frank and audio. Well, Uncle Frank might be on vacation today. It's the first in years. Should everybody reach out to him? To make sure that- Uncle Frank said, I'm having a committee, he's like 90, but he still wants, you know, what's up. He was at the clinic for the weeks. Okay, awesome. We'll definitely do a follow-up to make sure he is okay. Okay. Let's now move forward to our presentations. And we have two presentations this evening, and the first will be about homecoming. That's going to take about 3 minutes. Possibly, so, at least on parcel 10, in Kapolei. Welcome. Opportunity and Chocolate Development Manager.
Run our slides for us. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathleen, and I'm an Assistant Development Manager at HUD. I'm also joined here today by Michael Lamb to my left, our Senior VP, who has responsibility for the operations of our Kapolei portfolio. And to my right, of course, is a man who doesn't need an introduction. Thank you, Ken. He's always here at every meeting representing HUD. We are thrilled to be here, and it's nice to see some familiar faces and many new ones as well. Before I start my presentation, I'd like to thank the board members for allowing us to share about what HUD is doing in the community. Next slide. So since 2008, when HUD acquired over 500 acres from the Navy, we've invested tens of millions to redevelop Kapolei by adding hundreds of new jobs and attracting businesses, including essential services, such as the recent Daily Alcafa Clinic, Kamina Kids, Hawaii Learning Center, and Tripler Army Medical Center, Royal Hana Medical Clinic. Allow me to share how we plan to continue this momentum to generate more jobs and services for Kapolei. Next slide. So parcel 10, we've highlighted the area on the map in red, and you can see it's really close to the Kapolei Airport. Thank you. Move to the next slide. So the portion of this 3.81 acre was constructed before the 1950s. The balance was in 1968. It's bordered by Enterprise, Monterey, and Randolph Street. The site comprises of a 33,000 square feet of light industrial warehouse, and on the back end of the property is a 50,000 square feet industrial yard. Most of you know that this was home to Tomorrow's Market for over a decade. During Tomorrow's time, one of the biggest challenges they faced, like many other tenants and residents in Kapolei, was stable power. One of the power outages Tomorrow's experience lasted roughly 2 weeks. You can only imagine what that would do to a grocery store, the amount of produce they lost and employees without there. And those are just some of the negative impacts. Tomorrow's decided to close their doors in 2021. Our team saw an opportunity to re-energize the area. We've invested close to $2 million to reflect the needs of today's industrial and commercial users. Our team want to provide space for businesses to plant their roots, and which drove us to embark on the path that we are on now. In the next few slides, I'm going to talk about the planned improvements. We are seeking approval from HECO to connect to the energy corridor that's located on Enterprise Street. To bring in eco power, the parcel work will be done along Enterprise and Monterey Street. And we've highlighted that on the image to the left where you see the darker blue area. The image to the, actually that's the image to the left, sorry. The image to the right describes the work that will be required to pull the power from the new eco transformer to the building. And a lot of this work for the eco connection is Tony's contribution. Okay, next slide. So now I'm going to talk about the proposed building work. The area highlighted in blue is currently being leased to Swinnerton Builders, the construction company. The balance of the building is vacant, and that's highlighted in orange and purple. The proposed improvement work will allow Hunt to add up to 4 new businesses to the area. I know you only see 2 in the building. The other 2 I'm referring to will come from the 50,000 square feet of yard space located on the back of the building. So that's how I'm getting my 4 vacant spaces. Then if you add Swinnerton, the existing tenant will have 5 occupants, up to 5 occupants. The work that's needed will create a shared common restroom and corridor, and we've highlighted that in green. We will also include removing interior walls to allow for clear span space for commercial users. We will also be adding and enlarging doors and upgrading electrical equipment, light fixtures, HVAC, and various light and fire safety related items. To safely secure the site, we are also seeking approvals for a security chain link fence. Overall, theft and loitering continues to be a challenge for us in this area, and the security chain link fence work will safeguard the businesses, their equipment, and their employees. So now we're going to talk about timeline for our permits and construction. Permit-wise, we've submitted all of our improvement plans to the agencies. So the HECO work has been submitted to HECO, and the building work has been submitted to the city and county. We are now waiting for the appropriate agencies to approve our plans. The next step for us, one of the next steps, is for Hunt to present this project to the HCDA board at the Plan Development Permit public hearing, which is coming up the next few months. Our goal is to have all the proper approvals in place within the 2024 calendar year. And once we do have the permits in place, construction is expected to take about 12 months. So that concludes our updates for parcel 10. We are excited about the job opportunities and growth that these improvements can bring to the area. And with that, I'll open the floor for questions or comments.
Following the available update on parcel 10 and Kapolei. Are there any questions or comments from the board members? Chair recognizes board member Honokai.
Thank you guys for that. Very impressive presentation. Who's the agencies that you guys might have any challenges with? Is that the Navy or is that private entities? Because I used to live in Taiwan. And you get it on the rail, power shutdowns
All the time.
off the road.
You know, the biggest struggle we're having is with why electric Russian.
Yes, when you comment on this approval from PCs, that means the military plus.
Been agencies, Hawaii Electric, and Hawaii Electric just has a lot on their plate right now, so sure, that's why. Timing wise, it's still okay.
Yeah. I think the only other agency we probably took us the longest time to get our approvals from was Shipley, but we actually received that yesterday. And now we're moving forward with everything else. So at least we believe and feel like our biggest hurdle, we crossed that yesterday, thankfully.
Yeah, I mean, I think at a summary level, we have all the agencies that we have to work with, and been fortunate that they've been working really well, and we're thankful for that. That's why we're set to present at the Plan Development Permit.
Yeah, I think we were stuck, we would seek help, but we should be okay.
So let us know how we,
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
this is why you're here.
thank you.
Any other questions from fellow board members or comments? Chair recognizes Secretary Makakilo as well.
Only because I know others are, well, thinking it, or maybe someone is not coming back. No, all right. So,
We love to.
Yeah.
They know our number, but unfortunately not for this parcel.
yeah. Yeah, it's too bad. I know my dad went through a slight depression when they closed down, but, so he would have wanted me to ask that question. But that was a great presentation. I'm looking forward to the development of that area.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from fellow board members? You're online. Any questions or comments from the community at large? I'm seeing none. We do know your reputation and the good work that you're doing and concerns that you brought up, so I won't repeat them. So the question the chair has is whether or not it will be helpful for the board to take a vote in support of the project.
Sure.
Okay. So the chair begs a motion to support the intent of the project.
So,
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that the Makakilo, Kapolei, Honokai, Hale neighborhood board support the intent of the parcel 10 build out in Kalailoa.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any discussion? At this time, the chair does welcome anyone from the public that wishes to testify on this matter. Okay. Any further discussion from fellow board members? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say ole. Any abstentions say kanalua. Hearing none, the chair calls it unanimous. Congratulations. Please let me know when the upcoming HCDA meeting is so that we can get out a letter of support.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And also we can do a letter of support to HIPO if necessary. So,
Thank you.
okay. Now let's welcome up our next presentation this evening on the new quote-unquote Haku Kapolei development, the northwest corner of the villages of Kapolei, the last build out for the villages of the 5,000 HCDA project that's been going on for quite a while with Anya Development and representatives from the Makos organization. So welcome.
Aloha Chair and Aloha Board. I'm Chris Flaherty with the Honokai Development. Daniel Simonich with the Michaels Organization is alongside me. We're partners on the Villages of Kapolei development project. And we're working with HHFDC on developing this project with about 720 affordable units, up to 900 affordable units. The affordable units will range from 140% AMI all the way down to 30% AMI. Next slide. Obviously, I mentioned Honokai. It's a company, it's a family company. My son Keegan Flaherty worked for us. My former partner, Kapolei Watson's son, Noah Watson, worked for us. Patty Barbie is my partner, and her daughter, Alicia Rulke, works with us. I'll let Daniel give you a little background on the Michaels organization. Next slide. Our company's developed a little over 2,000 residential units. We have about 1,500 units in the pipeline here in Hawaii currently. We have 223 units underway in Maui, in Kihei currently. We just finished 105 units over in Mo'ili'ili, and it was a senior project. We actually developed a Nanakuli Village Center with the Nanakuli Hawaiian Homestead Community Association. We finished Hale Makana O'Malley about 3 years ago, and we just got entitled our Chinatown Hotel, which will be downtown on Nimitz this previous week. So we have numerous successful affordable housing projects here in Hawaii and throughout the country, as the Michaels Org does as well. So we're excited about this project and working with HHFDC and the Michaels Org. Next slide.
Yep, so aloha board, like Chris introduced, my name is Daniel Savage, organization. The Michaels organization is a pretty well-established and experienced developer, both here on the islands and the mainland as well, with a specialty in affordable housing. So Michaels has developed over 1,000 units here in Hawaii, most recently delivering a project in Chinatown, Hale, with senior residences, which is about 50 units. And we've done projects out in Kapolei, a place you might recognize.
Can you be a bit louder?
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, so Michaels is very well established as an affordable housing developer here. Next slide. Sure, yes, but like Chris was beginning to suggest, the program for what we proposed for this site, and we just received the award from HHFC just last month on this proposal. It's a mixed-use site with residential and commercial uses, about 700 affordable rental units. We're looking at mixed income options, but this is still early stages of concept. So I'm looking at both rental and potentially for sale based on available financing. Really ample commercial space to complement what's happening across the street, and residential that fits in with the villages of Kapolei. That's this last remaining site. And then a number of amenities for the community that really stitch together some open spaces, some recreation areas. It really makes this like kind of an exciting place for people to gather. Next slide. So just to orient, you're probably familiar with this site. It's bounded by Fort Barrett Road, Barrington Highway, Hale. This is the last remaining 20 acres of the villages of Kapolei. And you've got the recently completed veterans. It's approximately 1,000. Slide.
So we're looking at phase one. It's the pink shaded area kind of sandwiched between the orange and the blue. And that consists of 2 podium deck, 172 unit apartment projects. Phase two, which contains all of the 95,000 square feet of commercial retail fronting Barrington, also has rental housing on the corner of Fort Barrett and Barrington. And then as you move towards the Diamond Head side, you can see actually Makakilo of Barrington Highway, you can lightly shaded another rental housing project there as well. And our third and final phase will be a 50 unit townhome for sale, all 140% AMI or 120% AMI and below for sale. Next slide. This gives you a better view of what's contained in each phase. So you can see the commercial retail is in red. All the other podium type projects, 172 units on the 2 phase one projects that are mirror one another. And then the remaining affordable workforce housing project, we're still playing with the income mix, are on the corner of Barrington and Fort Barrett. And then the Diamond Head portion, which will have some retail on the bottom floor of it as well. And then you can see the 50 units of townhomes on the Makakilo bottom portion. So next slide. And this gives the actual demonstration that we can go up to 900 units by putting like a mini tunnel on top of it as well. Next slide. This gives you a rendering aerial view of the site. You can see, as Daniel mentioned, there's quite a bit of open space. As you can see, Walmart is the mock-up light blue or light gray building in the distance there. And you can see the townhomes in the bottom portion. There's 2 intersections, two egress portions, one on Fort Barrett and one on Barrington that we're in discussions with DOT currently on, because we know traffic is a major concern for the area. Next slide.
Real quickly on this slide, I think from this bird's eye view, which would be helpful to see from this perspective, is just how it fits into the context of the surrounding neighborhood.
Could you tell us the streets there so we get a better idea of which way we're looking and so forth?
Oh, yes. Yeah, so Barrington Highway, I don't know if you can see the light gray and bluish colored building in the very top. So, Barrington Highway is running from, Emma side all the way to Diamond Head side. So it's running perpendicular, or actually parallel to the top of the screen. And then Fort Barrett is, right there where the cursor is, running, Maka to Makai.
So that blue building's Walmart.
Next slide. This gives you a little street detail rendering of the retail, how it's activated in the residential affordable housing behind it.
Just from this angle, I think this is consistent with the master plan call for us, this being sort of the gateway for the villages of Kapolei. So this corner is really a high visibility corner. I think we're gonna for the tree and make that a really good.
Next slide. This gives you that visual, the mixed use retail commercial below and residential above. You can see the open space between the buildings and the walkability as well. Next slide. This is actually on the right-hand side of the screen. That demonstrates visually what the townhomes, how they fit in on the Makai side of the property. And there's the double podium affordable projects on the left-hand side of the screen. Next slide. And that concludes our presentation on the villages of Kapolei Northwest Kapolei project. We're open for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for providing the presentation on the build out for the final leg of the villages of Kapolei. Any questions or comments from fellow board members? Chair recognizes.
Yes, sir. What's the egress? You talked about that. How do you get in and out of this? So all I see is a big mess, basically. I don't, a lot of stuff. How you plan to?
Yeah, no,
Can we see that? Can we?
yeah, we'll show it for you right now. You can go back to the presentation. I know.
That's great.
It's me controlling it. And the outside. Which other slide?
You're gonna want to go deeper into like the first, oh, right there. Go down one, please. I'm sorry, up. Up one more. There we go. So I'll try to direct you to the left. It's a right in and right out. So you're gonna have Fort Barrett running along the left-hand side of the screen. So where the cursor is, and halfway down Fort Barrett, right where the cursor is, right there is the right in, right out, right there. And then if you go to Barrington Highway, it's a little easier to see. You can see right in the middle of the development, there's the right in, right out there as well.
Two exits.
And then actually there's another one. There's another exit right next to the Veterans Center as well.
So access point on all frontages, really trying to create that connectivity for people to see. It's like,
Interesting.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from fellow board members? Chair recognizes board member Makakilo.
I was asking Dr. Doug here, what is AMI?
Area median income.
Well, GP wrote it to me. So when you use AMI and the word affordable, it's kind of contradictory, isn't it? Because if I'm average median income is 75,000 a year, but the affordable number is 115 a year. Isn't that kind of contradictory? You know, just kind of throwing numbers out there. Secondly, you know, there's ideas of building. Where the trash going? Where the waste going? Where the recycling going? You know, we heard an amazing, you know, presentation just before you guys came up, and I'm sitting here and I'm adding all these homes. I'm like, you know, you can only carry so much water. Why hold it? Why come in? That's my concern. I think it's great you guys bring all these ideas, but where the water coming from? Where the trash going? That's all, I'm just common, simple. But it's a concern for our neighborhood, all the neighborhoods for that matter. So I hope you guys, you're gonna get the equation somewhere down the line, that's all.
No, we are, those are good points, thank you.
Sure.
It may sound like a lot, but this is going to be incrementally developed over time, and the benefit of Tennessee as a whole is you can have the whole picture, right? So this isn't all going to be developed tomorrow.
Sure. But still, where the water coming from? It's still gonna be, you gotta source it somewhere. Now, if I heard somebody's presentation say they're gonna get involved with maybe supporting a waste management site somewhere around, somewhere other than the west side, I think that's great. Or maybe a water restoration system that we can use the existing 75% of the water in the room somehow. I think that's great.
We are looking at catchment systems, implementing catchment systems. We're also looking at gray water, using the gray water.
So add it to your presentation.
Yeah.
Because you can get guys like me, we're not that smart, but we know what we're looking for 50 years from now.
Thank you.
For our keys.
This project is committing to green rated LEED certification level. So there are certain thresholds that this project's striving to make it even more sustainable. And to the affordability comment, affordability is, there's levels of affordability. So what Chris said is from 30% AMI, area median income, up to 140% area median income. It's really trying to create a range of opportunity for a lot of different people.
Thank you.
Good. Not the other questions.
Oh, no, it was answered, sorry.
Okay. Chair recognizes board member Miguel Williamson.
I'll do one question because I'm sure the community has questions. It's just a very congested area. So I think we're just all kind of getting congested looking at it because we're so familiar. And also affordable housing projects in our community, when you look at them, parking is really tight and we see cars just parking the road, just trying to find parking and making, makeshift parking spaces anywhere. And I don't know where people will park. What kind of parking will you have for these families?
So the first concern I'm concerned with as well, I was telling Daniel, I've spent some time out there walking, I'll park my vehicle and I'll just walk and I watch the traffic and I've seen the traffic. So we're concerned about it as well. It will affect the community. It will affect even the commercial tenants and the residents that are living there. So we're taking exhaustive measures to study it and make sure that our traffic plan, even right out, is really thought through because it needs to be done well. So we're very acutely aware of that. I watch it and I watch the amount of traffic that backs up on Fort Barrett. It's pretty significant. So I'm concerned about it as well because it will affect our project. It affects us, right, as the developers and owners. With respect to the second part of your question, with respect to parking, interestingly enough, you didn't see it because it's hidden, but there's parking underneath all of the buildings. So it's parked per statute and code. In certain instances, we'll try to reduce parking. We're trying to make, we're trying to make people, and we believe people are beginning to become less dependent on vehicles, hopefully over time. But you can see when you look at the building from bird's eye view, there's parking, it's a podium deck, so there's parking all underneath the building itself. So it's really difficult to see from there because you don't see the parking below, but there's parking below.
Which is why intent as part of the design guidelines is to kind of hide the parking.
That's brilliant to put the parking below. And the last thing, the catchment system. If you're able to put a catchment system, that's great. But we've had project after project where people are, oh yeah, we're thinking of put a catchment, but no one has ever put a catchment system ever. They always say, oh yeah, we'll think about it, but it's never ever come to fruition. You put a catchment system in there, man, you are going to be on the top of our list. You will support. I mean, man, you're going to be top. I'm going to just utmost respect if you can get that done, because that's what we need. And we need a good project that just is a model for that for Hawaii.
Well, we had a really nice call with the chairman, the board chair, yesterday, I think it was. He brought up a lot of really good ideas, a couple of which I know, and my son Keegan were talking about right before we came here. And, you know, there's some things that we took away from that meeting that were very helpful for us to think about, some of which we'd already been thinking about. But the catchment system was one in which I think can be done very easily, especially with the podium structure. We can put the catchment system beneath the podium structure.
I think so too, just
So-
nobody's doing it.
It does come down to economics too, right? There's that economic benefit, right? And it's not all economic. We're trying to keep it affordable, right? In order to do that, you really have to watch the cost. But there's also a community benefit in that as well, right? So we are looking at all those items. So thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Chair recognizes Vice Chair Dr. Kilney.
I'm really into hurricanes and very worried about buildings that are not prepared for hurricanes. The hurricanes are getting stronger, and the hurricane spawning area has moved northward. And so hurricanes that used to come below the islands are now headed directly at us. The 4 and 5, category 4 and 5 hurricanes are growing much faster than the less strong hurricanes. And now we're getting super category 5, which is 200-mile winds. And we need to be building for that, because the 3 of the category 4 and 5 hurricanes and the super hurricanes, they're expected to be primarily in the North Pacific area, which is us. So we need to know that this is really coming, and we need to realize that the super category 5s, we're getting those once every 8 years in the world, but by 2080, we'll be getting them once every year in the world. And the principal place we're going to have those is the North Pacific. So we just need to be aware of that. There is a company called Arcadia, which has windows now that will withstand 214 mile-an-hour winds. So need to be, really building for that future. Because it's really a crime to be building anything less than that, knowing that that's going to happen. Thank you.
Yeah, interestingly enough, when we were talking the other day, and it didn't strike me until I was just sitting here, and Daniel and I haven't even gotten a chance to really digest it, but the podium structures act as like a hurricane, like you can get in there, right? It's structural concrete, so it can act as an evacuation place, and they're quite large. So we were, because we all aware of that, and we're thinking about that. We want to be thinking construction type as well, how to bring our insurance costs down. So we are looking at those things. So thank you for bringing those to our attention.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Board Member Hale Ta'ala.
Aloha, mahalo for the presentation. So I've been living in Kapolei for 17 years, which is most of my adult life. And this is how it tends to go. We're promised a lot of things and incentivized by a lot of things. And then a lot of those things change. And we end up with much less than what we were promised. And in all these years, Kapolei has undergone significant change. And there hasn't been a stellar project yet. If we don't want it to be built, like Ho'opili or the rail, they build it anyways. If we want it to be built, like LEED housing, LEED certified buildings, they don't build it. So I'm a little wary of projects that promise us the sun, the moon, and the stars, because the pattern is that they just don't happen. And to the particular area that in regards to the particular area that you are trying to build in, that I just drove past about 10 minutes ago, it's crazy to build there. Like, why? Like, why would you possibly want to build in that space? Just because it's open space doesn't mean that its best use is to fill the space. I see the egress plan, and Mikhail is a lot kinder than I am to say that all we're going to need from you is catchment. We need a lot more than that. Vertical garden space, ICFs, how do you passive cooling? There's a lot of things we can employ, and these aren't brand new things. They're just things that developers don't give us because they use things like economics as barriers to entry. And I get that it is a money issue, but you know, there are things in the green building housing industry that have gone to scale and that are affordable. We just need people to actually do them. But even if we do them, to build in this particular area for this project, all things considered, I don't see how it would make it an any more enjoyable neighborhood because of the congestion. And in regards to the pricing, when we hear things like a range of opportunities, I've come to understand that basically it's code for, we're going to tell you it's affordable. And in the end, it'll be affordable for like some, but not really affordable for most, because we apparently have different definitions of affordability, right? So I guess if you're going to do this thing, which you are, because that's part of the pattern to it, right? Doesn't matter what we say as a board, doesn't matter what the community says on social media. People do what they want. Developers get their way. So if you're going to do this thing, like try to be top shelf about it, you know? Start with the sun and the moon and the stars, and then try to bring that to earth. There's a lot of things. I understand that since you guys are affordable housing project, you don't have all of the resources, but maybe need better grant writers to get more funds or something. It'd be nice to see like a really awesome project. We have a lot of cookie cutter stuff. All the stuff is gonna blow away in a hurricane. We're all pumping AC because no one did passive cooling neighborhoods. We're all using water because no one's doing catchment. We're all like still funneling to the grocery store because no one's thinking about how we're chewing up our food security by building all over the stuff. So it'd be really nice to see a project that comes in here and like is actually amazing instead of pretending to be amazing and actually in the end it's just going to be average or even below. So that is going to be our project. I just can hear in your voice that you do have some actual intent to try to get to know the community and do best for us. Just by jumping off and trying to build in this place is kind of a very weird approach in my opinion to trying to do what's best for us. It's easy to sit at that light, at the Chili's light for like 7-9 minutes, and that's just right now at what, 8 o'clock at night on a weekday when everyone's actually home. So imagine if there's 3,000 more homes there, right? It's kind of doesn't seem like it's gonna work. As to the point about hoping that people become less dependent on cars over time, sure, that might work for like a single person. When I hear their argument in Hawaii, I'm like, what family? This is a family culture. We have lots of people in our homes. We have lots of people in our lives. We're carpooling with our kids from our teams. To say that we're all just going to stick our kids on mass transit at the end of a long day, I don't think that's realistic. I think the car should get better at being greener, definitely. But I don't think that we should just not plan for things like parking or not plan sufficient parking and hope that like is an anaconda plan for how we won't have to deal with parking anymore. Like that's not realistic. No one's going to go to Costco for their family of 6 and like jump on a bus if they don't have to. So I don't think that's like a realistic approach to hoping that we don't actually have to build like things like parking, like adequate parking. So overall, my sentiment is like we've heard this all before, and I would love to be shocked in a good way as a resident of this community for nearly 20 years and born and raised locally my whole entire life. From this side of the island, I would love to be able to see a project that's actually innovative, actually does and not just involve community, but engages them, because there's a difference between involvement and engagement, right? And actually takes the feedback to heart and builds around that feedback, as opposed to just, trying to mitigate it or just trying to satiate it. So that's why I'm gonna mahalo.
Okay, Mahalo board member, for raising your questions and concerns, duly noted. We hear developers come in all the time before us, telling us how they're going to do all of the things, expecting us to forget expecting our community to be so busy that they can't engage. And pointing fingers to someone else that it wasn't really their kuleana. So hopefully we can learn together and work together to make it a better project. Does it need to be perfect? No. But can it be better than the last few that we had? I think we can do it.
We hear those comments, and we're here tonight to hear those comments. That's why we will be back. This is a multi-phase project, so.
Okay, now let's go to board member Mick Furr.
Hey, when did you say the phase with the 50 townhomes for sale would start being developed? Was that 2029?
Yeah,
That was
that
a
third
question.
phase, the full build out will probably take until the 2030s. So the earliest you'll start to see something on site if we're successful in getting entitlement, financing, construction possibly could happen for that first phase in 2026. The full build out would be closer to 20.
Okay, all right. Because I was wondering why that part of it was going to be, wait until the end when home prices normally would be a lot more than they are today. It seems like it would have made sense to maybe have the home purchase opportunities start first, but that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, board member Mick Furr. Let's go now to board member Dr. Amy Bosler. Dr. Bosler, you still with us?
Hey, Amy, you're muted if you're trying to talk.
Sorry, I'm having some trouble with my WebEx getting my video and audio working at the same time, but I am here. My concern has already been raised as far as the traffic, that intersection, that's our biggest, most congested intersection in Kapolei, Makakilo area. So definitely mimicking all of the concerns that have already been raised. My other concern that hasn't been raised, that's constantly on my mind, is this is bringing another 3,000 units to our community. Where are these children going to be going to school? I know it's not necessarily your job as the developer to figure out where these kids go to school, but our schools are already overcrowded. We are attracting more and more families to our communities, and I'm just really concerned that there's we need more schools. We need better infrastructure to handle all of these families coming.
So Dr. Bosler, just to, there's not planned for 3,000 homes. I think that was misstated earlier. It's between 700 and 900 homes, not 3,000. Just to be clear.
And for the schools and traffic, we just accepted this award from HGFC last month, but already we've heard these are the kind of the hot issues. And so in the time that we accepted the RFP, we've already had meetings with DOT. We've already had conversations with Department of Education. The superintendent for this district, we've got meetings set up with them and their principals. At this point, that site is not assigned to any particular schools. So there's a process that we'll go through to understand how we can kind of manage whatever potential build out results in additional attendance at the schools and how that can be. So we were immediately already hearing these comments and responding and trying to work with to figure it out.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bosler. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from our board members? Okay, now let's open it up to the community at large. Yes, I see all of the hands going up. So if we could have the gentleman just go a little so that we can have community members come up next to you. You can put over a chair or two. That would be great. Thank you so much. Awesome. So yeah, community members that have questions or concerns, just come up to the front one at a time, and then we'll get you. So come first. Remember to introduce yourself again for the record.
All right. My name is
Yeah, you can sit down.
Hello, I'm Sheila Medeiros. Actually, this would be a shock to me because I live in Kapolei Mills and that space has been open for so long. And personally, I was hoping that it was going to be utilized for the veterans for more mental health services on that property, more sustainability, and to get a dog park. So I had no idea that this was, and that's probably, because I haven't seen the notes on the neighborhood board meetings. But, yeah, so have you folks considered, because we are currently having like blackouts with electricity, how is that going to be supported? Are you folks going to provide solar systems with these townhomes? And if so, how does that impact your overall costs?
Go ahead. So I'll start with the last part of that. So we will be putting solar PV on the buildings. Remember, we have 50 townhomes, individual townhomes, and those we will have solar on as well. So it will be LEED. In fact, every project we've done to date has been LEED certified all the way from platinum all the way down to silver. So we're very experienced. So we don't just say we're doing it, we actually do it. So that's one thing we do. So with respect to incorporating more services for veterans, we're looking at that in terms of the certain parts of the commercial space. We think that's a good fit as well. The dog park probably will be a little bit difficult, but people, I mean, look, I had an interesting board meeting about a month and a half ago, and I thought it was, we all learned something. And I enjoy coming to these because we do get feedback and we do take it back and we hear it. And someone brought up something very interesting that I always took for granted that we didn't allow pets into our residential units because there was some statutory requirement that didn't allow us to do that, right? And then my son Kean reminded me of the fact that now it's the property managers they're the ones that say, hey, no pets. And this gentleman brought this point up that there's a how to say a correlation between mental health and people having a pet with them, which that makes the entire project much better, much healthier. And I said to my son afterwards, and tonight, I was like, we need to look at that. Because we've just been saying, hey, no pets, because that's what the management company said, right? It's here. So I called it Architects Hawaii, who finished our most recent project, and I called our lead architect and said, hey, look at, see what we need to have to do to accommodate pets. Like, what would we need in the residential building? So we do take that back and we think that. I don't know that we can fit in, and we'll look at, pet area, because if we're going to allow pets, people have to take their pets somewhere, right? So we are looking at that. So the fact that you brought that up, we're going to be looking at now, whether it can be a pet park like we're used to saying, I don't think that's what I think the design professionals and architects, that's what they do, right? So I know it's been open for a long time. Everybody's used to seeing that space. Housing is an absolute, it is crucial to Hawaii and to, Oahu in particular. So I know it's tough for everybody to see change and hear about change. We're here, we want to hear feedback. I love the pet idea because we just got that last time. I was like, that's our business. We want to create healthy environments for people.
Well, it's really important because veterans, a lot of us, I'm a vet, suffer from PTSD issues and a whole slew of mental health issues. And a lot of us have pets to help. So if you can implement that in your plans, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Mahalo community member, Sheila. Appreciate it. Come on, go. Next person. Madam with aloha. I'll try.
Mike Freitas, 50-year resident. 1973, and please, it's nothing to do with in any way to disparage what you guys are doing. I have the utmost confidence that you guys are going to do everything you guys say for right now in the city and the state. I have absolutely no confidence in the city and the state. Okay? 73, moved out here, was told to go west. I went west, the highway went east. I want of these homes are being built, all of this is being built. Take a look at West Oahu College. That small strip from West Oahu College to Honokai Parkway, 1 million. How many West Oahu College been there? The state has done absolutely nothing. These gentlemen can show you every way to get out, every way to get in. Who's going to have to build it so that it can work? The state and the city.
Mr. Chair, Frank Donadio, can you hear me?
Yes, Uncle Frank. Uncle.
Yeah, I'm unable to get on the web. There's still people waiting for the host to join. One phone didn't connect, so I only connected during the last presentation. Just let me know when you want me to give my presentation.
Thank you so much for letting us know about the technical difficulties and people trying to get on, and we'll go back to Uncle Fred's credit.
The state and the city have not kept up their share of bargain to do what they need to do. Now, again, 700 to 900 units. That's between 14 to 1,500 cars, a minimum. That intersection is already rated a C or a D. I asked this gentleman when they did the presentation that you were on, when they come here, bring somebody from the state and the city with them to answer questions. You don't represent the state. If you meet with the state, talk to the state, but you don't represent them. We need these people out here to tell us on a certain date you're going to do something, or by that date they should have changes. That's what we need. And until this is done, my recommendation, you guys either defer this or just deny it until you can get the state out here and the city to decide what to do. And I know you're only an advisory group. Okay? They don't have to put that together. I think we need this community, these people, about. I don't say maybe not in my backyard. I say maybe enough in my backyard. We got enough. So until everybody can get on the table and sit down and decide to do it right, DOT, Board of Education, all of these people, I think it's time to take a stand and do what is best for the community, because the quality of life here is going up. It's not the Hawaii that I was brought up and raised in. And then that's all I
Yeah. Bringing up the issue. Uncle brings up a really huge issue. Developers come here and they have their parcels that they're dealing with. But their parcel adds a little bit on to what's going on for the entire region. And the issues that the community is raising is not because of what you're going to do, but what's been done and how it's been done. So how do we work towards regional solutions together, working with the city and state with the limited budgets, the high cost of living? And that's where the solution that our board has been talking about, like seriously, we haven't taken a stand, but we're considering whether or not to call for a moratorium on all development in our region until North-South Road and Makakilo Drive Extension are linked. Because that's a regional plan. Everybody that's suffering traffic right now is because Makakilo Drive Extension wasn't built out as was promised. They would be in 7 to 9 minutes by Chili's right now coming off the highways. If there was 2 on and off ramps, it's not just a safety issue, but it's a congestion issue for all of the developments in the area. And we have more developments coming up with DLNR, with West Oahu, with their affordable housing project that did come. We've already shared that with them, and with BHHL and the East Kapolei homesteads coming up. We want communities, we want neighbors to be here, we want this to be a vibrant city, but we have to make it smart. We have to learn. It has to be funnel. And right now, we're all suffering because of the lack of what happened before. So the question is, are we going to buck up and deal with regional solutions and figure out how to do it together?
I can say that our board's really and waiting to actually help out with making that a reality. And we need your help as a developer, meeting with your state counterparts and city counterparts to help coordinate this together, because everybody's trying to work on the same thing, but coming at it from a different perspective, and sometimes it's a little bit complicated, a little bit funny time. So let's do it together, so that our kupuna can actually rest easy knowing that the next 50 years, we'll have a community where the quality of life has not increased. Sorry, has not decreased, but increased. We just want to leave this place a little bit better. So thanks for being easy on that with Aloha, Uncle. I appreciate that. Now let's talk about the next community member that wanted to give some feedback.
If you don't know about upgrades, you should know. I blocked a lady who said, you know, these people are gonna have kids. This is a family. Nobody moves out here because they like lots of sunshine, but they do want a home of their own. And that means eventually, if not a pet, children. Now, I didn't see any 50 kids, means at least 25 kids. We're hoping. Well, I didn't see any recreation area. I don't know how they're gonna barbecue. You're not gonna come to Kapolei, Makakilo and say, it's a beautiful day. Can't barbecue because I live in a townhouse and there's a restriction and there's no patio, there's no green space. Where are the children gonna play? I live in a townhouse. We have a basketball court and 13 acres and no, you can't have them. We have 13 acres and 99 rooms. And I think that's great. But we hear children all the time, and some of them not even from our community because they like our green space. And we have no problem. But I'm looking at the way you've got it laid out, and I see parking stalls, not enough. And we're talking about commercial entities. And I'm thinking, monkey bites on private property and being run over and people not being able to get out. I'm concerned, people are gonna wanna put their herbs or their garden or their orchids or their whatever they're gonna grow. Where are they gonna grow it? Where are the children gonna play? How many schools are gonna be affected by this? Kapolei is already, Kapolei High School is already full. You could build more portables that won't last long in a hurricane. We need more elementary schools, and we definitely need preschools. Where are you gonna put the 1 to 3-year-olds? Or the daycare, because parents are going to need to pay for these homes. And affordable housing will probably be about 900, 100,000 per house by the time you get to it, if we can get it done. You need recreation space for the children, for the elderly like me, the gardeners, and of course, for their children when they move in and inherit the house and have babies. So my concern is I didn't see a lot of rec space. And I didn't hear, what can you do for the field? I'm a retired teacher. And it would be really nice. Right now, you've got 3 ball fields, one in the old Barbers Point and the Makakilo Rec Center. And believe me, it's constantly being used. So what are you gonna do for recreation space? And maybe you invest in buildings. Maybe, and one of the things you might consider, a center that has a relationship with preschools, because old people and children go together like parents who always give their kids. And then I give them something to do. First, you know, a little bit more alert them a little bit further. I'm just giving you some suggestions. Maybe you should look at your plans again. And I'm one of the people that gets stuck in traffic.
Thank you. Marwa, I appreciate it. Any other community members want to provide questions, comments? And thanking everyone for staying to their 3 minutes. So we're.
Yeah.
Okay, last call for questions, comments, or concerns from the community with the project before us. Seeing none, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here this evening. We appreciate you coming and being here, and we look forward to you coming back and continuing the engagement. Well, thank you. Okay, let's double check to see if water supply or is back on. Very much for water supply. I do know Uncle Frank is on for the ample report. So let's go back to do the city report. If there's no objection, hearing no objection from the board, we'll do the ample report. Thank you.
Yes. Am I?
Yep, we hear you.
Yes, at this month's Citizen Advisory Committee, Executive Director Mark Garrity announced that public comments can be submitted on the federal fiscal years 2025 to 2028 Transportation Improvement Program, or the TIP, up to May 17th. A briefing on a green infrastructure study was made by Ian Hardy and Leah Laramie of the Sea Engineering Company. They examined shoreline changes and offshore sources for sand because the shoreline is constantly eroding and erosion rates will increase as sea levels rise. A restoration project for Punalu'u Beach Park will use a hydraulic suction pump from a dredge barge to recover sand from about 2,000 feet offshore and create hybrid stabilized pocket beaches. The cost for the Hawaii Department of Transportation is estimated anywhere from $14.8 to $31.2 million. Dallas Ige of AMPO then briefed the new TIP that includes 80 carryover projects and 12 new ones that include bridges and rock fall protection. Total cost estimate is $4.4 billion, of which $2.4 billion will come from local sources. This TIP allocates at least $300 million for bicycle and pedestrian-related projects, but does not include the Makakilo Drive extension project. So everyone who wants the extension should examine the TIP and then submit comments to Mr. Ige. I can't get on the chat section, Mr. Chair, because I can't log in. I'm just on the phone. But if they'll go to the AMPO website, they can find the Transportation Improvement Program. And then it's very simple, email dige@oahumpo.org. Let me just add that final decking of non-fiscal bills, i.e. the MDE resolution, is tomorrow in the legislature. I sent an email to Representative Keela and subsequently got a call from Representative Garcia, who was copied on it, that they will most likely be a vote before the legislature adjourns. We already have a positive vote thanks to some manipulations by Senator Garrett from the Senate. So if we get the positive vote from the House, we'll then have at least a resolution that says we should do something about the MDE. Thank you.
Well, Frank, for your thorough report and continued work on finding real solutions for our concerns. Okay, any questions for Uncle Frank from the fellow board members? Any questions and concerns from the community at large? Hearing none, mahalo, and keep on doing good work. Now let's move on to the state monthly report, starting off with U.S. Congressman Ed Case's office. I believe Vanessa Garcia is on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and for those who are sitting in online. I did, in case, Chairman, you did not get the newsletter that we had sent out a few days ago, our second quarter neighborhood board report. I did place that in the chat for those that are willing to go online to see the report that way. I can go over the hard copy that is before me just to go over the highlights in the interest of time. The congressman talked about the work that Congress actually did, despite what you might see and hear on TV. They did pass finally their fiscal year 2024 federal budget, which we were months already into the budget. But anyway, they finally got it through. The president had signed into it. One of the highlights of the budget, though, is the community project funding request that the congressman was able, working together actually with the rest of the Hawaii congressional delegation, to fund a number of projects for the state of Hawaii. Community project funding requests in the old days used to be referred to as pork barrel projects. But they've put some rules in place so that there's no wasteful spending. One of the projects that we were able to fund that of interest to West Oahu, of course, is the groundbreaking that I attended in January of this year, the new headquarters for the Hawaii Blood Bank out at Kapolei. And well, we did attend, and then I guess some of you also did the grand opening of the Senator Akaka Veterans Clinic out there in Kalailoa. We're looking to see when the opening, which is going to be soon, I know someone else will refer to that, is the Veterans Home, also named after the senior senator, also in Kapolei. And there's another project that made the list of our community project funding requests out for West Oahu. This is our project for Special Olympics Hawaii. $940,000. This is going to fund a outdoor multi-purpose community facility that will support a wide range of activities, including a place where meals will be distributed to those in need, special events, fitness classes, blood drives, and the like. This will be built for, again, Special Olympics Hawaii at their place at Mauna Kapu Street in the Ewa Beach area. In the second quarter neighborhood report, Congressman also wanted to make reference to another way by which people can see what activities he's up to. It's on Olelo, Channel 49. I put together these videos each month for the congressman just to let people know what they're doing, what he's doing. So you can see what is playing this month. And you can check the schedule on Olelo for when it appears on Channel 49. And just a few days ago, Congressman was in Washington, D.C. and attended a ceremony to honor Congresswoman Patsy Mink and the issuing of a quarter with her likeness. This is the American Women Quarters Program. Congresswoman Mink, who, as you know, co-authored Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972. And we saw what led to that when everyone was watching the women play college basketball instead of the men. And that is in no small measure a responsibility of Congresswoman Mink to allow for women to get equal access to athletics, at least in the college level. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm open to any questions that the board or the audience may have.
Thank you very much for the report on behalf of Congressman Ed Case. Any questions or comments for Congressman Ed Case's office from the board? How about from the community at large?
I'm sorry, Sheila, there's just several people are trying to get online and they've been on hold for like 22 hours. So they're messaging.
Okay. Thank you for bringing up the technical issue, and we will do our best to try and make sure that they can get on. And if you somehow are able to communicate with our neighbors, let them know to use the most updated link because
There's no waiting room for the meeting, so they should be able to join
Right.
without a restriction.
so we have had that technical problem before where some people have used an old link that is not actually the one that we're using tonight. So if they could go to the NCO website, the Honolulu website, and check the link on the agenda for tonight's meeting, please use that one. Okay, any other questions, concerns from the community for Congressman Ed Case's office? Hearing none, thank you so much, Uncle Nestor Garcia, and for the funding for the Special Olympics, because it goes in line with what the community has been asking for community resiliency hubs. Places where community can not just recreate during the day, but go for when there's a disaster. So thank you very much for helping with the funding. Okay, let's go to Congressman Joe Takuta's office. Are they on this evening? Hearing none, I did see Uncle Gordon Pang earlier. Is he available still for? Come on down for Governor Josh Green's office. Welcome. Hi. For being here in person. Got off early tonight.
Actually, still working.
Oh my goodness.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board and fellow residents. Gordon Payne, your representative to the Office of the Governor. I have no report for you this evening other than to show you Governor's latest newsletter and of course point out that you folks already got the scoop, got the better scoop of what's happening with the Kapolei Affordable Housing Project at Northwest Corner. You know, all I can say is seems like they're looking into your concerns. They are sincere about addressing them. And as they've stated, they are gonna come back to you folks at every turn, you know, with every phase. And hopefully they'll listen as things progress. I will share again, though, that, you know, I work for a housing agency and there's no greater need in the state right now. You know, our kids are going to have to go somewhere. And we don't want them going to the mainland. And so everybody knows a nephew or a relative or a friend who's going away. So we can't just keep stacking 8 people to the hospital. So, you know, please consider that as well. Yeah, I'm worried about the traffic. Yeah, I'm worried about the schools too. But again, hopefully these folks will pay attention. But please continue to support housing. It's very important. Thank you. Take any questions? Folks up.
Any questions, concerns, comments for the governor from fellow board members? Chair recognizes board member Tiara Talo.
Hello, I appreciate what the governor's trying to do in terms of solving our housing issue, but it's not an issue that's had in a silo, right? So it's not enough to say that, you know, our kids have to go somewhere. I mean, that's just stating the obvious. But it's more nuanced than that, right? So we're building houses, but the thing is that more people are coming here, right? So that's part of the reason why people are leaving. Yeah, it's not like we suddenly started having like way more kids than we used to have or anything like that. It's just that, you know, all these houses that we're building than we used to, you know, 2-3 generations ago, are also incentivizing people to move here. So, I mean, is there a delicate way to solve that? Probably not. It probably would have to include some very exclusionary measures, which in a capitalistic society we just don't believe in. if you believe in capitalism. So I think that the governor is trying to do a very difficult thing, but to say that housing is always going to be the answer to everything isn't, it's ignoring the larger issues. So when we talk about affordable housing, again, we have to get down to like, who's saying it's affordable? You know, when you talk about, well, we're building these many homes, who's actually living in them? We have a major immigration problem, right? So, I mean, there's no one size fits all thing, but I don't think it's, everyone supports housing. Like to say that no one supports housing, or to think that all we have to do is support housing, it's going to fix everything. I don't think that's true, because I mean, we've been trying that for years and years and years, right? Build to our ears bleed, and we still have all these problems. So I think we have to dig deeper, is what I'm saying.
Thank you, board member, for your comments. Any other comments or questions from fellow board members with the governor's office? Okay, chair recognizes board member Mick Farrar.
Hi there. Sorry I'm late to the meeting. One of the things that we've been doing at the DLNR is a lot of emergency state land set-asides so that the governor can build emergency housing for all the wildfire victims. And these are things that would normally take several months, and I'm churning them out in just days. And we're going to have the first set of emergency housing being built by Kamehameha Schools there in Lahaina. And we're feverishly looking for other state property that's suitable to be able to build a lot of temporary housing. But the things that the people in Lahaina are going to be looking for is some permanent housing. But right now, the governor's, I think, primary concern right now is to get people who have been displaced by the fire into some housing. And we are right now trying to identify different parcels that we could set aside to Maui County to be able to build temporary housing and then have them manage it until something more permanent can be had. So that's kind of why I'm late, and that's kind of what's going on. And some of the things that are on the governor's plate right now is the whole thing in Maui right now, and all the people who are displaced from the fire. Thank you.
Thank you, Transportation Chair, DLNR Walker. So we appreciate you providing the context regarding the situation where our brothers and sisters and family members of Lahaina is dealing with. And we appreciate DLNR's work and that of the HGFPC and all of the big state agencies that are trying their hardest to deal with this once in a lifetime catastrophic event.
Yeah, on that note, we have closed the deal on purchasing the former Maui Sun Hotel in Kihei. Nice. And we will have survivors moving in sometime in May. So, but you know, it's a delicate balancing act, as you heard the board member for saying. You know, on the one hand, you want to go as quickly as possible. On the other hand, you want to make sure board member Dudley does and others. You know, we need to make sure that it's done correctly and well, and you know, everything's done as securely as possible. So it's a balancing act.
Okay. Any questions or comments for the governor's office from the community or board members? Seeing that, one question for you, Uncle Gordon, is in light of the heavy increase of condominium insurance premiums, which is 400 to even 1,000% higher. Our communities here, particularly in villages of Kapolei, are seeing the brunt, and all of the associations are seeing the brunt in our
in our areas. We are asking whether or not for villages of Kapolei in specific or any state project, including the ones that are championed by HHFDC, is there a way to help with the monumental premium increase, particularly potentially financing options? We do know there's a legislative solution that's going through right now, and we know that most all of our legislators are supportive of this, which is HB 2686. They're going to conference. But the question is specifically those projects like Villages of Kapolei, which is an HHFDC project. Is there something that we might be able to do in order to assist with that? Creative thinking, right? Because we know that you provide loans for things. Things that associations are considering, or whether or not it will make more sense to ask for an exemption from the insurance requirement and then try to work on a self-insure program through HHFDC if the legislative.
I would suggest maybe you folks form a permitted interaction group. Take a look at how best, you could go about formulating what you want done.
Okay. Sounds
good. Presenting that to us in the form of a resolution, since this board is not shy when it comes to resolutions. So we look forward to hearing.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for the feedback. Appreciate it. Chair recognizes last call with Uncle Mick for online. For the
Yeah, one of the questions I had is about insurance. One of the many hats I wear, I have a client who is trying to buy a condo in Hawaii Kai and was a backup offer behind some people who fell out of escrow because the condo project didn't have enough hurricane insurance. And apparently this is starting to start a domino effect across the state, and talking to a couple of lenders now that out of 900 projects in the state, that Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, and VA are no longer insuring and no longer lending in, out of 900 projects, 700 projects. So this one particular client I've got actually ended up having to go to alternative financing and is paying a 9% interest rate because of the fact that the development is underinsured. And what's going to happen to him is that when the homeowners association goes and fixes that and becomes fully insured, then they're going to end up with a special assessment, and their homeowners association dues are going to go up. So it's going to be a double whammy. He's got not only a higher interest rate, but then he's also going to have a higher homeowners association dues. And because of that, they went back to the table and negotiated $30,000 less on that property. So I'm thinking that if this is going to be something that is going to destroy Hawaii's real estate, everybody would like to see cheaper home prices, but when you're dealing with people who own these homes and they're losing $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 because nobody can get loans on them because of this insurance requirement, I think we're going to have a heck of a tragedy going on here with people that are just trying to get into a condominium.
Thanks, Uncle Mick, for raising the concern. I think it echoes what I was saying earlier, particularly if the governor is moving forward with building these affordable housing projects that would like to be the condominium units, that if there isn't a legislative solution, what can the agencies do in order to support the threshold insurance for the condominiums? Because right now the market is 400+% increase that we're seeing. And this is just the beginning. And it's nothing to do with us in Hawaii. It has everything to do with what happened in California, in Texas, in Florida. We're just in the national swell increases because of people never build houses in places that make sense over there. And now we're paying for it here. Yeah. So hopefully a legislative solution, but if not, if there's an agency solution, that'll be really super awesome. Okay, thank you, Uncle Gordon. Appreciate you being here.
And now let's go on to the next. Is Highways Division with us this evening from DOT? Okay, thank you. Moving on to representative from Senator Gabbard's office. Who do we have with us this evening? If you could unmute, that'd be great. Oh. No. Did you? You're still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry, let me just, sorry about that. So aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and Honorable Board and community members. I'm Nanook Denise, Senator Gabbard's community liaison. The Senator sends his best wishes to you and your ohana and invites you to his May Listen Story community meeting, which will be Saturday, May 18th from 9 to 10 a.m. at the Kapolei High School Teachers Lounge, where he'll be giving a legislative session wrap-up. You can also join via Zoom, so please email us at sendgabbard@capitol.hawaii.gov for a link to the meeting. The senator had planned to attend tonight's meeting, but a family matter came up, and he asked that I read his statement regarding the Makakilo Drive extension. So he wanted to say, aloha. Some of you may be wondering what's going on with the Makakilo Drive extension at the legislature. The Senate recently passed a resolution that requested that the authority to construct a Makakilo Drive extension be transferred from the city and county over to the state. It passed the Senate body unanimously and is currently being reviewed by the House. Here's the backstory. Last week, we passed it out of a joint committee in the Senate. Government Operations Committee and Transportation, Culture, and Arts Committee. I sit, Senator sits on the Government Operation Committee as Vice Chair. The original resolution, HCR 62 HD1, having to do with speed bumps and signage on Kapolei Parkway between the high school and middle school, introduced by Rep. Garcia, was one of the resolutions on the agenda. Because there was no testimony in favor or opposed, Senate Transportation Chair, Senator Chris Lee, asked me if there was anything else I wanted to add to the resolution related to transportation to help my district. I suggested we insert the contents from the Makakilo Drive Extension Resolution, SCR 110, that the Senate had passed on April 4th, only to be killed by the House. So Senator Lee thankfully inserted the MDE language in SCR 110 into HCR 62 SD1. And I'm happy to announce that it passed out of the Senate Joint Committees and passed unanimously again on the Senate floor. Now it goes over to the House for a vote again. This would be a good time to contact all the House members and request that they support the resolution. Please email or call to say you support HCR 62 SD1, the Makakilo Drive Extension Resolution. Feel free to reach out to sendgabbard@capitol.hawaii.gov or call my office at 808-586-6830 if you have any questions or I can help you in any way. Mahalo. And with that, I'm happy and glad to take any questions or concern back to the senator.
Any questions, comments? Chair recognizes Vice Chair Dr. Keone Dudley.
Would you give us the title, not the title, but the SB or HB of the bill that we are supposed to contact the House about?
It's HCR 62. And I'll also drop it in the chat just so you guys have a record of it. So HCR 62.
And Chair, I'd like to let people know that there's a way to contact all the representatives at one time. You know, that I think it's all rep, but you could call the Office of Information there and find out exactly what that is. It sure saves awful lot of time.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair, any other questions, comments for Senator Gabbard's office? From the community at large, any questions, concerns? Just thank you to Senator Gabbard for taking up that particular issue with Makakilo Drive extension and staying on it. Appreciate his work and the work of the staff.
Thank you.
Current resolution, I guess.
Okay, now let's go to Senator Kuro's representative. Is Patrice or someone else on with us this evening? And not hearing them at this time. Let's welcome up State Representative Fanning Garcia.
Take one of his this one, taking that's another listen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Chair, all the board, thank you for having us this evening. I just want to give an update to the thanks Senator Gabbard's office for the great explanation of what happened to HCR 62. It's a win for our community. So just to get the backstory, this session, I introduced 2 resolutions. One was HR 45, which called for speed mitigation on Kapolei Parkway. That passed. Last meeting, I give the report that it passed in the Transportation Committee. Well, since then, it's passed 2nd reading, 3rd reading, and it's been fully adopted in the final form. So that's good news. The concurrent resolution was HCR 62, which you have before you. Prior to the Senate's amendments to it, the wording was exactly the same as HR 45. It was a concurrent resolution. So this resolution passed the reading in the House and crossed over to the Senate, which is where Senator Gabbard had this language inserted. So we saved the Makakilo Drive extension, which was killed in the House. There was a big controversy 2 weeks ago over it being removed from the agenda in the hearing. That's what happened. It died in the House, so it was now saved through Senator Gabbard's working in a bipartisan manner in the Senate. So thank you, Senator Gabbard's office for that. Update on our newsletter before you. We are wrapping up session. Next week, Friday, we are done. We're currently in conference committees. The start of this session, roughly about 3,000 bills introduced. We're down to about 290-ish bills right now. And so lots of bills have died, good bills and bad bills. On the back, page 2, there's a list of some of the good bills and bad bills. They have my voting record on them there. Just wanted to also give an update regarding some of the issues which was mentioned earlier with schools. Update on the East Kapolei High School. This session, lots of the finances have been directed towards Maui, of course, right? Trying to make sure that there's immediate recovery going on there. The good thing is we were able to secure the $15 million again in our state budget this year for the East Kapolei High School. So the DOE is moving forward in planning that, and we're hoping that the governor can release those funds once the budget is finally approved and passed. And then lastly, just wanted to give you an update again to our community town hall meeting with Councilmember Tupola and Senator Gabbard with our crime issue. So anything with crimes like game rooms, with drugs, with homelessness and sex trafficking is a big one. West Oahu has some of the highest rates in the state for sex trafficking. It's a real issue. And so I would highly encourage you to come to this town hall meeting. There'll be members from the AG's office, from the feds there, from Homeland Security. And so it's going to be a great town hall meeting, and we'll hope to see you there. With that, that's my report. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Honorable Representative, for your report and being here with us in person. Good to see you. Okay, any questions, concerns, or comments for the representative from? Yes, Dr. Vice Chair is recognized.
What is the address that you send to get all of the representatives?
Great question, Dr. Bentley. The easiest email is reps, R-E-P-S, @capital.hawaii.gov. That email address sent it to all 51 House members.
Okay, so reps.
Yes, with an S.
With an S.
Yes.
At
capital.hawaii.gov.
Hawaii.gov. Okay.
That's it.
Good. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Board Member Beck for
Yeah, hi there. I really appreciate everything that you're doing for us in our district. I wanted to express my displeasure at our Transportation Committee from the House taking the Resolution 110 off of the agenda when there was a similar one on the agenda that they left, looking for support for a second egress and ingress for Pacific Palisades, for instance. We had tried to make contact with that office, and Representative Keela has been completely non-responsive to our inquiries as to that. The other thing I have a concern about is that this Senate resolution has been passed, but it's going to go back over to the House. And my fear is that it's going to get the same treatment from Representative Keela and the chair, and either be taken off the agenda again or that it will be deferred. So I'm trying to figure out in what way we may be able to defend against that, because there's some reason why that happened, and it's not the transparency just is not there. And we've got 20,000 people living up on that hill that if some of these people want to be, one term, we could help them with that. It's just very difficult when we have the Senate, for instance, putting together something hard fought like that, and it just very flippantly just gets taken off the agenda, and with no explanation other than, the Department of Transportation doesn't need any new projects right now. And I can guarantee you, where I work, we give the Department of Transportation projects whether they want them or not. And so I'm just hoping that this second shot that the Senate has given on this resolution, that it doesn't get hung up over there on that side once again. Thank you.
Yes, that's a great point. The good news is that resolution, HCR 62, Senate Draft 1, has already passed second and third reading in the House. So the only vote that it will have to go through now is a full floor vote in the House. So it crossed back over to the House. It's not going to the Transportation Committee, so the Vice Chair has no say in if it's being heard or not. It's going to come back for a full floor vote. And that's when we need your support to urge all the House members to vote yes on it, on the resolution.
That's very heartening. I appreciate that. And I will go to my people who have expressed that concern, and also on my next door page, and letting everybody know to please get in contact with as many House members as possible so that we could put this forward. I mean, it's kind of a baby step at this point, but out of the entire time that we've been trying to push this ahead, we've never gotten quite this far, and I've got a very big fervor in pushing it ahead, and to the point where I've been telling people that it isn't called the Makakilo extension, it's the Makakilo Drive completion, because that particular roadway was designed to be built in sections, and I actually have the map from work showing that it's already built, and North-South Road was the one that was proposed. So I appreciate all the work you're doing, and you're really putting a good effort forward, and we appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or concerns for the honorable representative from the community at large? From the board? Hearing none, thank you very much. Okay, now let's go to State Representative Nani Souza. It's the honorable representative with us this evening.
Thank you, Chair. Hope everyone can hear me. I'm still here at the Capitol. Obviously, this is conference week, so we're busy as heck. And I just walked outside a little while ago, and all of my colleagues are still here. So it's nice to know that we have company. But it's been a really busy week. I'm on a lot of conference bills. So we're just making sure that the job is getting done, and making sure that Mick gets his MDE resolution pushed through as well. And thank you to Senator Gabbard's office for making that move at the 11th hour over in the Senate side, and keeping this thing alive. We really need to get this MD pushed through however we do it. And this is a really good start. I know that Mick had mentioned about, this is just a resolution, and I agree. We still have the bill option if this doesn't do anything, even if it does pass. And so we can always hopefully come back next session and try to push that through as well. But this is a really good start. And so I'm hoping to rally up the support of our colleagues and get this measure pushed through. This is probably the most important thing going forward in the next couple of days. So hopefully the measure will go to the floor tomorrow and we'll get the support of our colleagues. So thank you to Senator Galbraith's office, and thank you to Mick and all of our community members, Uncle Frank, everybody who has been such an integral part. I've never seen such determination and the longevity that they have put behind this in all of the years that they fought for this project. So it is definitely inspiring, and it's what keeps me going as far as making sure that we're all doing everything in our power to make this happen. So thank you everyone for that. The second thing is e-bike legislation. I know that, after the child got hit out in Eva, I think a couple weeks ago, it was a real concern for our community members to strengthen our e-bike laws. And so, some of the laws in the book right now, it's pretty vague. So I had the Legislative Reference Bureau draft a potential bill that can be introduced next session, and we can try to tweak it over the interim and see what more we can add to that based on what other states have done with e-bike legislation. So that's something that I think will be really beneficial to our community members as a result. So that's something that's on my radar. The other thing is that I had the privilege of attending the Kapolei High School STEM Honors Presentation Night on Friday evening at the Kapolei High School Library. I was so impressed by all the students' inventions. It was truly remarkable to just see their enthusiasm with their science projects, and congratulations to all of them. And thank you to Lolita Takeda and Principal West Shinkawa and everybody who always includes us legislators in their competitions and all of their different events. So that was really exciting. Yeah, aside from that, just trying to push through to the end of the legislative session. So thank you all.
Thank you, Representative Souza, for being here with us and for your report and update and continued advocacy into the wee hours at the state capitol. Any questions, concerns, comments for the representative from the board? Any from the community at large? Come on down. Please introduce yourself. And
My name is Leslie Keating, and I'm a resident in the Mohana neighborhood. My son was
I'm
also
sorry, I can't hear.
My name is Leslie Keating. I'm a resident in Mohana. My son was also hit on Kapolei Parkway at Punahou, right across from Starbucks, but he was riding a regular bike. It's a really congested area, and although, I don't buy e-bikes for my children, I understand the parents that do, because it saves a lot of time. It gets their kids to get on the bike. But I'm more concerned with our lack of bike infrastructure. Like, there's no safe passage on Kapolei Parkway except for being on the sidewalk, which we don't want our kids riding on the sidewalk causing damage both to pedestrians and other things. But so I guess what I'm saying is, although I support, safe e-bike ownership and riding, and would like to see more regulation on it, I think that it has been helpful for children. And I would like to have more focus on the safety of having our kids ride bikes. Because all of my children ride bikes, and they go all the way to the middle school from Mohana to the high school. I have twin 5-year-olds. They'll be going to Kapolei on the bikes. And so that's my news. Thank you.
thank you, Mahalo.
Thank you. Just a response to that. I do think e-bike legislation is really important right now just because the laws are not very clear. And I think that our laws are not as stringent as other states. So that's just one thing, but I totally acknowledge what you're saying. The infrastructure as far as safety, we need to improve it, definitely. And that's something that we're working on, especially in that area by the Kunehi Starbucks, exactly where you're talking about in that Mehana area. It's such a problematic area. So I know that there's been traffic lights installed at some of those intersections. We're trying to make sure that all of them are not stops and they're actually traffic lights. There's other things that we're doing, but bike infrastructure is really important. So thank you for your suggestions, and I will definitely follow up on that.
Mahalo. Any other community concerns, questions for the representative? Hearing none, thank you again, and don't stay up too late working on our behalf.
Thank you, Chair. Hopefully I'll leave soon. Thank you.
Okay, now let's invite State Representative Darius Kila or anyone from his office. They're here with us this evening. Okay, we're not hearing anything from him or his office. I do have a slight update that the representative did provide to us, acknowledging our concerns with Makakilo Drive extension, willing to work on them, and also sharing his exciting news that was shared earlier by Representative Councilwoman, Andrea Tupola on the egress access, so the emergency access that Race Pacific and Nan Inc. are willing to consider gifting the road over for such access. It is a Band-Aid for the solution, but it's a Band-Aid that is well received. We need it and we need more. So thank you, Representative Kila, for providing a follow-up regarding our concerns. Now let's move forward to HCDA. Is Francine Murray or anyone else with us from HCDA? Okay. Awesome. Hearing none, last call for state monthly reports. Anyone that has a report that hasn't gone yet? Okay. Hearing none, let's go to the firecracker part of our community forum. So our community and board concerns and announcements, starting with the board. Concerns, comments that you wish to raise. Chair recognizes Secretary Nikiala Limstone.
Madam Chair, just an announcement. After 4 years, we are bringing back the Kapu'ola Hula Festival. Our last one was canceled due to the pandemic. I'd like to invite the community out to Pu'u Kapolei this Sunday from 3 o'clock to 6:45. We have cultural workshops first, but hula and mele starts at 5, the entertainment part. And so come out, it's free, open to the public. We're going to have 2 Sundays of Kapu'ola Hula Festival at Pu'u Kapolei, which is at the top of Kapolei Regional Park. It's to celebrate mele and hula, and also to bring awareness to Pu'u Kapolei, which is a cultural, historic, sacred site, and also where our community gets its name from is that hill, Pu'u Kapolei. Mahalo.
Thank you. Any other board member with an announcement, questions? Okay, Mick, go ahead, board member.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gripe. We've worked really hard on trying to get the Makakilo Drive, not only the divider with the grass being cut and it being a safety issue for visibility, but now it seems like we have a few of the HOAs there that are allowing their residents to start piling trash along the roadway, right under the signs that say no dumping. And I know that the the bulky item pickup was discontinued some time ago, except for by appointment. And some of this stuff has been there for more than 2 weeks. So we know that they made no appointment. They've just dumped it and left. And so I think that it becomes the responsibility of the homeowners association for cleaning it up. And if we have to have the city go out there and clean it up and to fine the homeowners association the $2,500 for dumping in the community, that we do that. This is really starting to look poor to have piles of mattresses and couches, and people are picking through it and spreading it out everywhere. And now I see a water heater And I've tried to go and get the contact people to call and tell them about it. And apparently, these local boards are laying low, and I'm having to get a hold of Hawaiiana to report it. So this is just something that I'm throwing out here in the neighborhood board forum, that if you live in these particular homeowners associations, we're going to be looking at having your association pay to clean that up. And if there's any fines involved with it, that's going to go towards your budget. So I suggest that for the sake of our community and the way we keep it as best we can, that this garbage, this trash pile is removed and something done with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle Mick, for raising the concerns of bulky items being left on the roadways and not providing the scheduling requests for pickups. So we do encourage all of our community members to use an appropriate refuse center for bulky items, and if not, be able to call and coordinate with the city for an appropriate pickup. And we will definitely look into seeing how we can encourage and support our homeowner associations to help out with that kuleana.
And I actually had a good day today. It isn't that I'm coming on spitting venom because I had a bad day. I had actually a really good day. But that's just one more thing I was asked to put out there in behalf of my constituents. So thank you.
No worries. I get scoldings as well from people in our communities whenever I see bulky items. They remind me of a truck. You know, can we go take it? And while you're doing it, can you go take aunties and cousins and uncles? Because the city actually sometimes you make the scheduling and they don't show up. So we can definitely follow up. Okay, let's see any other announcements from our board members. Hearing none, how about announcements from the community at large? You're welcome to come and share any Mana'o question, concerns, or announcements for us at this time. Hey, yeah, come on. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. Just for the record, we like when you try to put the community concerns a little earlier, you guys tried that a couple times, yeah? So maybe we can do that again. Anyways, we just wanted to invite you folks. We have a coral painting at Anil at West Beach. Gonna be May 4th. This has been 2 years in the making. As you know, we've been taking care of the fishing shrine for about 2 decades. And of course, the shrine is connected to the fishery. And so I turn to my, he's the po'ologa. He's the one that really learned help pass on the fishing traditions from our elders in Honokai and down the coast, and I asked for his help. And then with him reaching out to the DAR and DLNR, and then from there, my brother Damon, by the way, this is my brother Damon. And then from there, going to connecting us with researchers and biologists. They connected us with Kuleana Coral, who we didn't even know was in Ko'olina. They had an office, and Kuleana Coral was looking for a community to work with.
Nice.
So when we partnered up, it was like, this is exactly what we wanted. And then also we have our Limu expert for the Honokai here, and I'll let them both say something too. I'll be quick. So it's just everybody coming together and collaborating and trying to restore the fishery, bring back the fishing grounds. Usually we don't really come out here, but just to let you know, the plan was to do this, our home base out of Ko'olina, put up some tables and all that. And for the record, at the last minute or just recently, Ko'olina said no, because they had a wedding. And I'm assuming the wedding was gonna take all of Fort Lagoon. And option, we didn't have the option to use any other space between First and Fort Lagoon, so it is what it is. But thank God, everything went to prayer, we decided to start doing it out of Kahe. So we'll be at Kahe. Mahalo to Councilmember Andrea because she made sure that the permit went through.
Nice.
As well as Frank Yolana was talking to them folks too. So mahalo to them for making sure. So we're gonna be at Kahe from 9 to 1 p.m. There's gonna be a team doing the choral prepping the front, and then my brother's water team gonna be going in the water with Juliana Part to plant them. And then at 1 p.m. we're gonna have one food and drink, but it's a potluck. So it's a potluck, everybody. Sorry, it's a funds. It's our pocket, so yeah, it's a potluck. Sorry about that until we can figure out the funds. But now I'd like to just let my brother say something and Bob say something. Please say anything about it.
Nah, just it looking back. That's what So Dietrich introduced me as the legal expert. I am just someone who knows a little bit about algae, and the algal benches out in Colina are rich, are dense, and they can be used as a fumigate for develops the health of that environment to really achieve those overarching goals that Dietrich identified. So DAR's role in this is also to provide some technical services in the form of developing a monitoring protocol looking at lingual assemblages in that area, in the hopes that it can lead to some lingual outplanting, because that area is definitely sparse when you away from the coastlines.
So we did talk to Auntie Daddy. We talked to Rakupuna. You guys see them kind of Kapolei in the morning over there. Well, you know, if you go there early, right? Everybody's supportive, and yeah, just concurrent to this, we have an oral history project with the Center for Oral History at UH Manoa. They're bringing out some of the oral historians, and we're tracking down all the old families from Honokai, Hale, because there's that real tight pilina to the area. So we're getting their oral traditions and putting it all together, and then meeting with Brother Kamu Inos at UH West Oahu and creating a 3D model of how it used to be, and even before sugarcane and ranching, how it used to be then, and where we want to go after that. So it's a lot of collaboration all over. So thank you for your time.
Okay, awesome. Mahalo, any questions from the board? Yeah, we'll install.
What time?
It's 9 a.m. Well, I wanted to start by saying mahalo for bringing back the Kapolei Buddha Festival.
Yeah.
That's wonderful for our community. Yeah, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 12-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So appreciate any other questions or comments from board, from community at large? This is a community member setup. Somebody online? Oh, okay. Community member Rodney. Rodney.
Aloha board, thank you very much. I'd like to say I came on late, but you have Tsunami Awareness Month here in April, and I'd like to say a shout out to the CLEAN, Kapolei Local Emergency Action Network, for the work they've been doing on tsunami awareness and evacuation routes. Also, Red Cross is like to have people give consideration to their emergency kits, their go kits, etc. If you haven't replaced or looked at replenishing your kits in 4 or 5 months since the end of hurricane season, then please do so. And also to the Boy Scouts and for their Onozuko Day at UH West Oahu, fantastic event that supported quite a few venues, as well as disaster preparedness and emergency management. Thank you very much. Mahalo.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that on emergency management, disaster awareness, and tsunami week. And Uncle Rodney forgot to say you volunteered to come to the event.
Yeah, that was right inside. He's on this.
So thank you all joining for continuing the work, and for our community members, this is work that's been going long-standing to care for the and for the limo in the area of Honokai, Holland. So if you are interested and want to help Malama, please reach out to the neighborhood board and we'll put you in contact with the appropriate people. Okay, any other community announcements? Okay, go on, Bob.
Hello, Chair. Hello, members of the board. My name is Isaiah Bakwan, and I'm a candidate for state representative of District 42, which encompasses portions of Eva, Kapolei, and Ho'opili. I've lived in the district for most of my life, over 20 years. Grew up here, local boy. I'm a son of a veteran, of a plantation worker, and an immigrant. My wife, who I love dearly, teacher at Kapolei High School, so she's constantly bringing me issues from the community. I graduated from West Oahu, part of the inaugural class to attend at Kapolei campus. And I was elected as a student government president of the HWO for the Ministry of Kapolei. Under my experiences, I have a lot of community and leadership experience, but I also have experience working 3 sessions at the state legislature where I work for multiple politicians in different roles, currently working as a community clerk right now. And I really enjoy working in politics. For the last 7 years, I've served in the military in our Hawaii Army National Guard, where I currently hold the rank of captain. For the last couple of years, I've been engaged in a lot of service to the state of Hawaii when it comes to the most important times of the need of the state, to include the COVID-19 pandemic, where I was activated in service of the Big Island, and Oahu, providing relief operations to both. And most recently, I was activated to the island of Maui, where I served roughly 5 months in service to the people of Lahaina during the Maui wildfire disaster of 2023. I believe in me, you'll find a leader who will collaborate with all levels of government and community to ensure that West Oahu and our slice of the island gets the need and issues and concerns addressed. I'm not just about talk, I've been leading and serving the interests of this state for much of my adult life. And I welcome community to converse with me, engage with me, and I look forward to attending all future neighborhood board meetings possible. And then that's my promise. I'm here to engage with you guys and we work with you guys. So mahalo. I would like to thank the board for all you've done. I know it's getting kind of late. It's my neighborhood board meeting with you guys in the recent times and making pretty good time.
You stay later.
I would like to really thank you guys for all you've done. You've made this a venue where people can have a safe voice to voice their issues and concerns, and I really appreciate that.
Okay, awesome. And thank you for your candidacy.
What's your name again?
Isaiah Bakwan.
Westmore?
Isaiah Bakwan.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
With that, we are in candidacy session. So if there is anyone else online or in person that would like to announce their candidacy to the community so that we get to see your face and know your smile, and more importantly, make sure you're working in the community when you get into office, and even if you don't get into office, we should see you around. So welcome, aloha.
Hi, aloha. I am board and constituencies community. I am Sheila Medeiros. I am a retired U.S. Army officer. I retired at the rank of lieutenant colonel. I've served over 30 plus years, starting in the Hawaii National Guard for 14 years and 20 years on active duty. I have been gone from the island. Actually, I was very fortunate to be stationed here for 9 plus years. And then I spent the majority of my tour in Washington and in Fort Bragg. I am a paratrooper. I jumped in France and multiple jumps with different coalition forces. I've deployed to Afghanistan 3 times and Iraq once. So I have a wealth of information, wealth of experience in leadership, in key leader engagement, in information operations. So I understand marketing, I understand narratives, I understand how messaging works. What I can bring to the table is leadership experience, negotiation, and I also can bring unity. I understand how key leader engagements are so important and vital, especially in the governmental level. If you don't know how to build relationships and reach across the aisle, then whatever you have proposed is not going to be heard. So it's all about communication and effective communication. I am a daughter of a Navy veteran, so military is in my family. My son, I passed the torch on to him. He is serving right now as a first lieutenant in Schofield as a field artillery officer. And I have a granddaughter. I run on a platform of accountability, transparency, integrity, and freedom. All of that is inherent in my blood and in my service to my country. I just retired in 21. My goal was to actually retire and enjoy life because I needed to take a knee. But I've seen the trajectory of the legislative branch and the bills that are being passed that are not conducive for families and for just the cost of living and just, I don't believe that people will say something. So, and this is what God has me, and I'm here in front of you, running as a House State Representative for District 43. And that's all I have.
Okay. Mahalo. Thank you very much for announcing your candidacy. Anyone else online or in person that would like to announce their candidacy?
Thank you.
Mahalo Loa. Thank you. So I'm very excited to see these new community members that come out and run. For those that don't know, my name is Anthony Harris, and I too am running for House District 42. So I'm a co-candidate with Mr. Balakan. Now, why am I running? It's like, because I've been running now, this is like my 4th race that I've been running. And the reason why I'm running is because I've been gifted with much, and much is expected. And I want to make sure that I leave Hawaii a better place than what we receive. It's like, I was born and raised in Nanakuli on the west side of Oahu, went to Kamehameha schools, and then was fortunate enough after being houseless for about 3 years of my life, was able to actually board at Kamehameha, and then eventually went off to get my environmental science and engineering degrees from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So I went there, studied environmental science and engineering, and then came back home for a period of time. I worked in social justice, community service, and church work. So I worked at Chaminade University as an adjunct faculty. I taught math and science, and really trying to help our young people learn better. Because in my educational career, what I found is that I really like to teach. I really like that. But what I also found is I'm really good at policy. Like, super weird. I policy monk a lot. I actually also worked at the state capitol in the Senate Judiciary and Labor Committee as a staff attorney before I got my Juris Doctorate. So I was a staff attorney with the state legislature before actually finishing law school. So I really like policy. I've taught across the west side of Oahu, from Kahuku to Waianae, Makaha, Nanakule, and I've seen the same issues and challenges that I faced when I was there. And the number one thing is the lack of belief that we can succeed. The lack of belief in our youth that they can succeed. And the number one reason I'm putting myself out there is, again, to be a role model that it's possible. Because to be honest and frank, it was like, I'm kind of tired of seeing all of these Hale people coming from away that's running and getting into political office and leadership positions because we believe that somehow they're better. They're part of our community, I accept that. But so are we. The people that are grounded and rooted in this place, the people that have the stories from Honolulu down to Makaha to Makakilo, they're the ones that actually already know the pulse of the community. They're the ones that's already in touch. There's no translation necessary. But what is necessary is to translate that community experience into good policy that actually makes Hawaii better, not just for the locals, but for the Malihini, for our visitors, and for all of those that actually care for Hawaii. So
My experience goes from being the first vice president of the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs. I currently chair the Prince William Hawaiian Civic Club Scholarship Fund, where we give out tens of thousands of dollars to deserving young people to actually further their careers and education, but mostly focusing on civic engagement. That's our focus. We give money away to those future leaders to hopefully serve, whether or not in political office or otherwise, because serving leaders are going to lead, whether or not they're in a position that actually is recognized or not. They're going to have the heart to lead in our community. So I already up to my 3 minutes. I myself. I just wanted to make sure that you all know that I too putting in my name in the hat again because community members have reached out and we need good candidates. Last time when we ran in House District 42, we had Representative Sharon Farr, we had Dr. Lori Goes and myself on the Democratic ticket, and I supported all of their campaigns. Why? Because they're good leaders for our community. It's a rare opportunity when you have good choices between good choices and even better. Usually we're doing good and bad, or bad and worse. So I'm heartened to see the candidates stepping up in our districts. And I look forward to working with all of the candidates as we move forward, whether or not we're in political office. Please stay in touch. And most people in our community have my cell phone, so I'm not running away. So with that, let's go now to any final announcements, candidacies or otherwise. Okay.
One more, but I'm not running. This for the chair. This is for.
We have 14 minutes and 2 resolutions. Let's go. Well, it's 2016. Right on.
Good evening. My name is Frances Tapiz Andrian. I am seeking assistance and support for a new bill with the city and county. In front of you today is something that was passed by the city and county in 2016 to allow the neighborhood for parking along Oahu Street, Liko Street, as well as Tamahoe Street. We are unable to, we don't have the 4 feet space of driveways. We have very small driveways, so we cannot even park our car to block our own driveway. So that's why House Resolution also states that as well. Right, but I brought 2 copies for the chair as well as the
neighborhood board assistant.
The residents have signed the petition in support of a new bill for the ordinance of 16.6. To omit section 3.
Okay.
Because it ended so on and so forth. So I'm open for discussion.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. So, so everyone is understanding, basically, the bill that was enacted was a pilot program in order to make sure that there was no parking along the street in areas that cause disruption. And since it was a pilot project, it's sunset. So now, if we want to make it permanent, we have to go back in and ask for it to be permanent.
Yes.
So as I understand it, we have a petition before us, and members from that community that live along that area that would like to see the parking ban being put back in. So, yeah. So thank you for bringing the presentation, and we can definitely put that on our agenda for formal action in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably do that.
Yeah. Any questions of the request? If you're not, we get these all the time. People wanting to make sure that roadways are clear, appropriate spaces, can turn around in the cul-de-sacs and see all of the lanes. Any other comments? Come on, Mary, come on by.
This is a pretty concern of, and I know we hear about traffic, we hear about speeding, and we've heard a lot of that tonight.
Sure, introduce yourself.
My name is Samson Hodges. I live up in Cayuga over here off of Wells Street. I want to argue that there is an extension of Makakilo Drive called Wells Street. People come down from Panana Street and speed right down right there. I'm pretty sure you've heard it before. I'm just wondering, I'm looking for your assistance in trying to resolve that issue. The speed limit is 45 miles an hour. Obviously, people jet up there and jet back down. We've had a few accidents over the years. Cars have been hit. My next door neighbor had his dog hit, lost his leg, he survived. But, you know, it's just, it's concerning, you know, and you have kids that do come up and down the street there. I'm wondering, you know, I've heard several solutions, you know, here tonight, and I appreciate all your help with this stuff. But if you could possibly point me in the right direction, who I could probably speak to, because I've heard DOT, I've heard DTS, of course, the council member. So any help, any assistance you can give me in pointing in the right direction, to try to help resolve this issue. One thing that we thought about is I haven't seen HPD up there ever. They've never stationed themselves up there, at least once. If they would do that maybe once or twice, I think it would probably deter people from doing it so much. So that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for raising the concern. And yes, we can circle back after the meeting and or online, be able to help point you in the right direction so we can look at short-term and long-term solutions.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have T-minus 9 minutes left and we have a couple of actions.
So, and you know, some clinic opened on April 5th.
Yeah, congratulations.
Patients are going there, it's actually opened.
It's beautiful.
But of course, the roads still need to be done. And if you remember, there was a memorandum of understanding that HUD and state DOE came up with and just going through legal review. Then the state DOE, one of the guys, just trying to be a nice guy, sent an email to the US DOE representatives out of courtesy, hey, this is what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. US DOE guy came back with an exclamation point on his email and said, no, stop. He missed just one of the tidbit. Hey, we're not trying to give you this road yet, so can you just let us go? So I'm still working with state DOE trying to resolve that. As soon as I can resolve that with the state DOE, we can finally begin that road again. So I know
How frustrating.
I wanted to get that thing going. It's so sad, but I'm not quitting. So we have.
Appreciate your perseverance.
That was my quick update. Any questions?
Any questions? Seeing none? Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 3 major actions tonight. The first, let's go. Approval of written summary for video record Wednesday, March 27, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Anyone wish to testify and make any additions, corrections to the video record? Carry none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say ole. Any abstentions say kanalua. Hearing none, chair calls it unanimous. Good job. Now, let's go to resolution. Standing in solidarity with Waikiki Neighborhood Board number 9 in calling for the prohibition of refuse collection prior to 6 a.m. in Waikiki. Okay.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion starting with public testimony? And to give a context, our neighborhood board has been contacted by Waikiki Board number 9 neighborhood board asking for our assistance in calling for prohibition of private waste management pickup during the wee hours of the morning. So already similar types of regulations exist elsewhere in the islands, but Waikiki is not the case. We have put forward a solidarity resolution, which has been circulated to the community, and all it basically says is, yes, we support their position that if the community wants this, then we should support that. And is calling for council consideration of what ordinances might be appropriate or regulations might be appropriate. Okay, any questions?
Is there board discussion?
Yep, now discussion from the community, from the board.
I just want to say it should be 7 o'clock. Instead of 6.
Their resolution is 6. Well, you want it 7.
That's fine.
Okay, gotcha. So the comment is that it should be 7.
Should be the.
Yes. Okay, another option, have the board decide. Yeah. But they live in that area. Yeah. Yeah, so this is their first position. Yeah, so I mean, if that their board decide what time would be appropriate. Okay, so I'm hearing support for the resolution so far. Yes. Good. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Chair, I know we're tight for time, but I don't know where this particularly comes from, but I'll just say for me, my father was a refuse worker, and so starting work early was the way we survived, because he had 3 jobs. So he went here and then he had 2 other jobs, but this is how we survived. And he picked up rubbish for people very early. He went to work at 3 a.m. And we had 6 children in our family. My mom didn't work because she couldn't, but he needed this particular job. But I will say, I lived in a time where the neighbors all had relationships with, they're called garbage men back there then. And so much so that the relationship was so strong that during the holidays, he had to rent a storage unit because there were so many gifts that he would get because he did such a great job picking up people's rubbish. But we picked it up early and they were just so happy that the rubbish was picked up. But I don't think I would have gotten a private school education had it not been for that job. And he would not have been able to start at 6 a.m. And I don't know where this comes from, but I'm just going to say from my personal experience that there may be a father out there that needs this job earlier than 6 a.m. so that he can go to his other jobs.
May I retort?
Any other
Yeah,
discussion, board members? Chair recognizes board member Makakilo. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so I ended up getting this resolution from town, and they have a concern because of all the noise, obviously, and the like. And I thought about that, and we end up getting rousted at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning after we worked all week. But I also understand it needs to be picked up, and in supporting them, I kind of support them, but at the same time, the other issue that lies out there, and in talking to some of these folks, because I want to kind of find out from them, is that there's a shortage of these drivers, and a lot of them are working a lot of hours, and a lot of them aren't coming home to their family with 6 kids because they're out there working, and they have to go out there at 3 in the morning and start the job because their company is making them work 16 hours a day picking up our garbage. And I do remember the days when around the holidays I used to put a 6-pack of green bottles on top of my garbage can. And I don't know where that ever went, because I kind of still do it if they don't get taken. But I even had thought about the fact of if they came out with electric garbage trucks, because the garbage trucks themselves, being electric, wouldn't be quite so loud. Because I know the guy, when he comes down my street, man, we know he's there, but in looking at it from all angles, these people work a lot of hours, and they have to start at 3 a.m. Otherwise, all this stuff wouldn't get picked up because there's not enough drivers, and a lot of them aren't really that keen on having to work all that overtime. It isn't like, oh gosh, I got all this overtime, I'm going to make all this money. It isn't all about money. You've got that 6 kids, like Makakilo had said, and if you don't ever see your kids, what good is a family life? What good is living in Hawaii? So I'm kind of on the fence on it, but I told them I would bring the resolution to our board so that at least we could vet it and see which way it would go. But I'm kind of the one that kind of brought it to our table, because I thought it interesting. But that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Okay, so, chairs, the chair notes that we do have a minute left, and considering that this is a request from another board for us to consider this topic, and there is no pressing need for us to take a position this evening, the chair would beg that we postpone this agenda item till the next one.
I'll move.
If there's no objection, hearing no objection, then the motion before us will be rescinded, and then this agenda item will be put on at the May meeting. Okay. Tiare, go right ahead.
Thank you.
Did you object? Sorry, was that a?
I was just gonna say thank you for the depth of perspective across the board, and I was just wondering how weird it is to ask for quiet when you decide to live in Waikiki, because it's arguably always loud there. But I mean, I don't live in the community,
Yeah.
particularly because it is loud.
Like Harley Davidsons and scooters and
It's like always going on.
parades. A parade a day.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of us have like things in our community to stem for noise because we're living in residential neighborhoods. There's an expectation of quiet at some point time, but you live in the city, even though it's like a Chicago kind of city, it is the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't live there, so.
Thank you for sharing that very interesting and prudent question. Consider that next month.
Always from Seattle.
Given that we are at time, all other agenda items will be actually rescheduled to next month, including the resolution on Hawaiian landscapes. If anyone here wanted to testify, but and not able to make it back to the next meeting, please see me afterwards so that I can make sure to get your testimony. Otherwise, the last announcement for the evening, we will cover all of the committee reports. And the last announcement for the evening is the next board meeting will be on May 22nd, 2024, both in person at Kapolei Hale and online via WebEx. And make sure to use the most updated web link. And if anyone has issues technologically signing on, please feel free to reach out to me at makakilo@gmail.com or 808-398-2468, and we'll try to make sure that you can get on next time. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn? Someone to adjourn. Any objection? Hearing none, our meeting is adjourned at 10:02 p.m. Mahalo, thank you very much, everyone. And please continue to be engaged. Sorry. Wow. Someone's going to adjourn.
Yeah.
There's a reason, another reason why trash.
Thank you.
Thank you. So nice to
The cards, yeah.